Hello, everyone, and welcome to Geeky Geezers. I'm your host, Agent Boomer. This is my co-host, PaPa Pacelli.
Hello, hello.
And welcome to Geeky Geezers, a rather Disney-centric stream tonight, oddly enough.
It's almost all Disney tonight. Yes.
What can we say? It's a slow week. It's week after Thanksgiving, but actually, a lot's been going on.
I was gonna say it's not that slow a week. It just all happens to pertain to Disney,
and
company. It's all very big stuff. This is. I am going to argue that this is industry shaking matters that we're going to be talking about. It just happens that Disney, or the toppling and falling of Disney from its pedestal, is the big news.
And did we not predict this years ago?
We did.
This would happen.
We absolutely
did. Now mainstream media outlets are now saying that a lot of the same things we were saying.
I'm going to try not to, go off on this too much, but I have said it before. I'm saying it again. There is no such thing as too big to fail. I am getting sick and tired of dealing with pixie dusters in the comments section saying Disney will be just fine. They have plenty of cash. They're too big to fail. Blah, 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 blah. Look, I want to, well, I can't quote him because I don't know the exact quote, but I'm going to paraphrase Valiant Renegade, who has pointed out that the losses that we are seeing through Disney and their, failed films all year long have been about the equivalent, if you figure out the finances, of losing one of their cruise ships every month. That was the big thing that one of these pixie dusters was saying. Well, their cruises are just fine. Their vacation dollars and this and that. And it's like, no, that's not true, because they're losing money in their vacation lines. They're definitely losing money in their parks. Anyone who lives in Florida, well, actually, tell me if I'm wrong, Boomer.
Yes.
But is their competition not doing better than they are right now? And I just realized
parks have gotten too expensive even for Floridians to go to.
Oh, and it's too hot. It's too hot to go to the parks now, right? I said I wasn't going to get off on this tangent, and I already have, and we haven't even started the show. What is wrong with me? Shut me down so that we can say hi to the people that are really important.
I'm shutting you down. You're out of here. Hi, Matanui. Welcome.
Right. No, you're right. Don't laugh. It's true.
Hello, everyone. Have a great show, Geezers. Rest in peace, Marty Krofft. Thank you for the awesome childhood. Absolutely. We're going to get into that in a little bit, Big Al.
This isn't this week. Really, technically, it was. We could have covered this last week, but we just didn't have enough time to give it its due.
Horizon Talker, hello, the chat. Welcome. Letter San Jose Skeptic Tank. What? Welcome. I like that. That's a good title for
isn't it?
Isn't it? I like that, yeah. D Pensec, welcome. Rose Fire, welcome. All hands on deck, man the torpedoes.
Attention!
Salute and stand for the Geeky Geezers.
Oh, that's awesome. That is a great intro. Man, if you'd like to record that for us, we can make that part of the opening every week.
There we go. Rose Fire just reminded me of the Godzilla -1, which I saw last night. Oh, did they say that in Godzilla -1? I need to see that. Everyone's talking about it.
I've heard so many good things, but one thing that I've heard that's really great is referring to it as a period piece, like an alternate history, World War II or post-World War II kind of thing. And I'm like, that's kind of brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, I'm interested. And I don't know if it's on its own or if it takes place in the legendary Godzilla verse. I mean, in the legendary Godzilla verse, Godzilla been around for a while already, right? They already knew of it. So who knows if it's
what I love. Someone did a commentary and there's been so many that I've seen. Unfortunately, I can't cite them. I can't keep them straight in my head. Someone pointed out that. And I think actually what it was a comment in Doomcock's video on it. They were saying what is amazing is how not political it is. And if there's any film that you feel like totally could go into politics, totally could have a commentary, it's, let's face it, Godzilla is born out of, the post-nuclear World War II thing, and it was a very thinly veiled kind of pseudo geopolitical commentary. But it seems like this movie, which I haven't seen, I'm going based on what I've heard secondhand, kind of goes out of its way to avoid those kinds of things in a very kind of clever way, kind of, on the cheek, kind of acknowledging it while pushing it aside and saying we want to focus on the story. And I kind of am looking forward to seeing how they do that.
Good evening, David Pensek. Yeah, I mean, I want to check it out too. There's a lot of movies out right now. Actually, there are movies in the theater I actually want to see. Godzilla -1. I still have to see Thanksgiving. I know it's past the holiday, but I think it'll still keep like turkey left.
I was going to say it's still in the theaters because it's doing really, really well.
And of course, we have The Boy and the Heron coming out this week as well. I'm definitely seeing that next week at some point. But
yeah, I know. I heard about that one from you.
Look, I drove 3 hours to see Spirited Away back in the day, so I can go down my local Cinemaflex to catch this one. Yeah. Okay, but let's see here. Hey guys, D Pensek said, "Look at that, the Geeky Geezers
called it years ago."
We were concerned years ago. We were hoping that Disney was going to just reform itself. We weren't interested. Yeah. Believe it or not, as much as we rag, we didn't want the company going out of business. We just take a step back, get rid of the, just.
There comes a point where you start to look at it and you go, you know what?
They're stuck on stupid.
Even your stupid heroin addicted brother. You eventually, because you love him, you want to see him get off the smack, but he needs to hit rock bottom. So you leave him alone to hit rock bottom, and then you're there for him when he's ready to pick himself up. And if that never happens, and the worst happens, it's sad, but it what other choice is there? And that's where we're at with Disney. We want Disney to turn around. We believe Disney is at rock bottom. But heard a great.
They do not believe that.
No,
They're
that's absolutely true. They are not at the point where they're prepared to say we want help. It looks like some people are going to be moving in there to help them, whether they want to or not. Great little conversation that I heard on WDW Pro's channel. They were saying basically, look, this is beyond, we got to get rid of Kathleen Kennedy, or we got to get rid of Feige, or even we got to get rid of Iger. It is institutional. There are probably thousands of people that need to be removed from Disney and replaced. And it really does start with people like Iger and the board that need to be replaced, and then they got to start going in like an abandoned plot of land and pulling out all the weeds and start planting good plants in there.
We did predict this, but it took a while for a ship as big as the Titanic to sink. We were talking using the metaphor of they have
trying to turn the Titanic. Yes. When you're coming up on an iceberg. The Titanic is so big and the pin is so tiny. You need to, or, these days, an even better analogy that people might be able to relate to even better, there's an asteroid headed towards Earth. And if you can get to it soon enough and, fire off a blast on the side of it, right, you can make enough of a movement so that it will end up missing us. But it takes a long time. You got to be that far out in order to do that. The closer it gets, the harder it is to turn, to the point where once it's in your orbit and you set off a nuke, all you do is you shatter it, and now you're being showered with little stones rather than one big one.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, you're still dead.
Now I'm thinking of that movie Meteor with Sean Connery. Remember that one from back in the day?
I do, and then there was, of course, Deep Impact. There was...
lots of those.
What was that one?
Deep Impact was a comet.
Yeah, it was a comet.
There was the one with the Ben Affleck.
I was gonna say it was the one with Bruce Willis. It was like Armageddon or something.
Armageddon, that was an Ambit, yes.
Don't wanna miss a thing. That one.
Armageddon's a better word because people always say apocalypse. But the word apocalypse means to reveal.
Right.
That's what that means. Armageddon is end of the world. That's a better word for that, but no, that seems to be a word anyway. This way, Elon Musk could buy Disney, or at least part of it, maybe. I don't know.
We're going to talk about that in a little bit, and we're going to get into finances. What a great picture of the lovely Sherry. She
Welcome.
really is so lovely.
I don't know if this is your first time on the stream, but Chap, welcome.
No. She's well. I mean, she's been in the community all around.
No, I know.
But it's been a while since we've seen her here for sure. So glad you're here, Sherry.
Well, I know she's very busy, but thank you for popping by. Appreciate it. Jesse Corhardo, welcome. Aged Boomer, good evening, gents. Have a great stream. Listening while driving. Well, hopefully we don't get too angry during the stream. We are going to start off.
And maybe don't be texting while you're driving. I mean, that's
minus one is separate. Well, that's fair enough. I guess I wouldn't expect it to be connected to the
True.
series, but
and that's probably for the best too.
Maybe it's connect. Maybe is it supposed to be connected to the older Godzilla movies? I wonder.
Yeah, see, I know people like Big Al and whatnot know this stuff better than I do. The difference between the legendary and the original Godzilla and Shin Godzilla and all these other different. I don't know. Fire in the Sky was another one. Yeah.
Richard Crenna. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, let me go ahead and.
Got Zootopia. Did you say Zootopia? Horizon Talker, Samuel Proctor.
Horizon Talker, welcome. Samuel Proctor, welcome.
Because we do need to get into it.
There's Zootopia. I didn't see him anywhere.
Anyway, Zootopia, he said, hi, DP. Hi, Jesse.
All right, well, welcome. Here we go, a slideshow for y'all tonight. Yay! Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Marty Krofft passed away, I think, a week ago. We really didn't have time, we felt, to properly give him a send-off.
Right.
I know that probably more of an impact on Troy's childhood than mine, but even I knew of his stuff. But big deal.
Actually, I'm going to argue he probably had more influence than you even realize. Mm-hmm. We'll get into that.
Well, he had originally, I was reading up on him, he got started he had originally started his career on the Banana Splits.
Yep.
In the background. This is before he became a producer himself.
Yeah. You definitely see that style, too, in the costumed characters and whatnot.
Yeah. But this is the Banana Splits. We're not Banana Splits, HR Puffin Stuff.
HR Puffin Stuff, yeah.
Yes.
And there's that sentient flute that in recent years people have been saying is a little problematic because it looks inappropriate. I'm like, it's a talking flute. What do you think it is? That says way more
about you than it does about the props. That's the thing. Back in the 70s, you would have this stuff, and no one was thinking other things, right?
Well, with the exception that HR Puffin Stuff, they did. There was a lot of people talking about Puffin Stuff, huh? Sounds kind of drug related. Kind of like Puff the Magic Dragon, right?
Puff the Magic Dragon. I remember that. I remember seeing the cartoon for that. Remember the
with Burgess Meredith did the voice.
Burgess
for that.
Meredith,
completely unrelated to this, but yes.
Yeah, completely unrelated. But what was the concept behind HR Puffin Stuff? I see a boy, I'm assuming, maybe teenager or preteen, and he's in this world with these crazy looking characters. What's the story?
So the whole idea was he's a guy from our world who ends up, and as I recall, each show started out with an intro that kind of explained it. So there you didn't have to know what was going on from week to week. You come in.
Like there probably never was was there ever a pilot episode which shows what happens?
No.
It just this is what happens.
En medias res, but the intro tells you all you need to know, which also makes it great for syndication purposes. You can show these things out of order; it really doesn't matter. But it's very kid ends up in the magical world, and this magical world ends up becoming the vehicle for the morning show, so that they could do the Saturday morning cartoons and so forth.
Oh, I see. So this was like a thing that was on throughout all the Saturday morning, right?
On one network, yeah. Exactly.
Okay,
This
so
was
that's
their,
interesting.
and it probably wasn't the whole morning. It was probably just an hour or two with various other short stories and whatnot. And
Interesting, because I remember one time on Fox, you had like all the Fox cartoons in like the early '90s or late '80s, and Weird Al hosted it one day.
yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah.
like that. It was like Weird Al doing these different segments. But Rosefire says, I only recall watching Puppets of the 1970 movie when it showed on television, enjoying it very much. Oh, there was a movie.
Okay, that I didn't know. That is a little before my time too, because
Well,
I was born in
perhaps
'71.
you'll be getting to the H's in your collection at some point, right?
There you go.
All right. Here's another one. Do you know this show?
Yeah, it was what were they called?
Hold on.
The
Let me look up
Zoobles?
Marty Croft's thing.
The Zoobles or the
Yeah, something like that. Hold
something
on.
like that. I forget. A bunch of British kids that got turned into bees or some crap
British
like that.
kids. Were these British productions?
I don't think so, but I
Okay.
think the Bugaloos. That's what it was. The
Thank
Bugaloos.
you. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Let me go ahead and look this up. Wait a minute. The Bugaloos. Yeah. So this was about. Did you watch this show, Mike?
I did not. I was aware of it. My mother was a little more aware of it than I was.
Okay. Yeah. Apparently, the female Bugaloo is a subject of much fan art out there. Apparently.
Yes. And there was a movie she was in, and if you think she's attractive, you can see more of her in that movie.
Really? It's a family show. We'll talk about that for the hour. It's funny. I got a CD for the band Pretty Reckless on Black Friday. It was part of a deal. You know Taylor Momsen, the one who played the one who was in the Grinch live action movie.
Oh yeah.
Wendy Wu, whatever the heck the kid's
Right.
name is in it. Well, she grew up and she was on Gossip Girl for a bit, and then she just decided she was going to be in a rock band, right?
Okay, cool.
Left the show, and I'm looking at the cover of the CD of the CD, right? And this is something you kids don't know about, but if you did, you'd be in for a surprise. Well,
CD and album art.
She's kind of nude on the cover, but she's covering herself up with her arm or whatever, right? And she's lying there like on a tombstone, like I rock and roll killed me, or is it something?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, and I pull it out and decide. Well, let me because when you would get an album or a CD, you'd get like a booklet or album. Well, this thing folded out. I'm like, well, what does this fold out into? And then there's a picture of herself in there where she's showing more of herself. So.
Oh, yeah. Those kinds that I struggle with that kind of stuff because it's like, wait a minute. First time I saw this person, she was a little girl. I don't want to see her like this now.
No, I didn't grow up with the Grinch or Gossip Girl, and she's in her 30s at this point, so fair game on my part.
Well, there you go. But no, I had the same problem with what's her name? The little girl from E.T.
Drew Barrymore.
Drew Barrymore, yeah. I'm like, no.
It's nice looking woman, Drew Barrymore. What was I talking about here? Anyway, the Bugaloos. You didn't watch, so let's move on.
Witchy Poo.
Lidsville.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with
this?
One?
This was kind of a spin-off of HR Puff and stuff, wasn't it?
Yes. Deleted scenes. Pretty reckless. I don't know if it was a spin-off. There's a funny joke. I'm a big fan of the show Millennium, right?
Yeah.
And throughout on Millennium and the X-Files, there was this author that showed up in one episode of each show, and his name was Jose Chung, and he was played by Charles Nelson Riley.
Yeah.
And like on the X-Files, he was writing about UFOs, and on Millennium, he was writing about the end times, end of the world stuff, right?
Sure.
He was writing for his book, and he was talking about his history as a writer, and he was saying, and I was in a delightful movie that was a big deal at Cannes, and it's a scene from this series where he says, "You'll never capture me alive," playing like some kind of wizard or something, and it looked completely ridiculous, and I'm like, what was that from? And then I found out later on it's Lidsville. Charles Nelson Riley, he's very funny man, underrated comic actor, I think. What do you think? Yeah.
Charles Nelson Riley was hysterical. Absolutely, he was.
One banana, two banana, three banana for everyone is here to rant a little more. I don't know. Oh, Bugaloos. Thank you, Big Al. Big Al, you must have watched all these things, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, he's just a little bit older than I. There we go.
Yeah. Sigmund and the Sea Monster. Is that what the series was? Sea Monsters. I mean, hey. It's a monster, but he doesn't look that unfriendly, right?
No, that was the thing about these. They were very Sesame Street-esque type monsters. They were, you know, they were weird and strange, but they were the good guys, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and as I recall, I want to say this was one of the segments of within HR Puff and stuff. I think I don't remember. See, this was like my childhood. You know, this was like early 70s. I was in the single digits at this time.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. But it looks cool. Got the redheaded kid. There was always a redheaded kid on
Yeah,
the shows in the 70s, right? The curly redheaded kid.
And you could almost guarantee that as soon as they got old enough, that's it. Their career was over. Done.
Yeah, because Hollywood hates gingers, but they would give us roles as kids. I noticed that.
Yep.
How many gingers can you? Eric Stoltz, he's not red hair. He had something of a career. I mean, who else? Let's think about this.
Now this is where I live. This is Land of the Lost. This was,
I remember too. Yes,
this one was some great. This was very much like Star Trek. It had guest authors. Great sci-fi authors would write episodes for this.
Interesting,
and they were awesome. It was never entirely clear if this was meant to be like way in the past on Earth or way in the future on Earth. It could go either way. Time travel was involved. There was the it goes with that whole idea of the, assuming this is Earth in the far past, there is this idea that there were these reptilian humanoid race that lived far back in the past, you know, that built monuments and so on and so forth. And Chaka there, who you see, the little ape boy, was like a primitive human, and he had a family and befriended Will and Holly.
So could this
Marshall.
be like a time travel thing? Like he's sort of like a proto caveman, and like
exactly right.
Is he? What are the Slee Stacks? I remember the Slee.
So the Slee Stacks were the reptilian humanoids. Now they were very primitive. They were not what you'd call an advanced civilization, but there was one of their kind who was advanced. His name was Enoch, and he actually was trying to help the Marshalls to get back home. He was also trying to get himself to his own time. And I believe there was a story reveal that he thought that he was like from the distant future, and that the Slee Stacks were his ancestors. And then through his research, he realizes it's the other way around. It was kind of like Planet of the Apes for him. He's actually from the farther past, and these were his descendants, and they had
like devolved,
reverted.
Basically.
Yes, exactly. And he had this access to these like portals using crystals and stuff like that, and he was trying to help the Marshalls get home. The way they got home was, I guess it had to do with his research. He was using these portals to see different times and places, and he saw them as this family was doing a white water rafting excursion, and they ended up going over a waterfall. They probably would have been killed if they hadn't been pulled through this.
So he pulled them through because he didn't want them to die. Right?
Exactly. I'm not sure if it was intentional or not, but it's true that he did end up saving them. And it's the story. It's like a Swiss Family Robinson kind of thing. Them trying to get back to civilization, trying to get home.
Well, it almost gave me like a Planet of the Apes vibe. I remember that as a kid. Like they're in this wild area with these odd creatures coming after them, but they're not all bad. And
but the important point for our purposes here is that they're fighting, T-Rexes and Brontosaurus, Triceratops, playing very fast and loose with paleontology and when these different dinosaurs would have existed and whether they existed at the same time with humanoids and all that kind of thing. But all of those effects were done in that very Ray Harryhausen-esque kind of way where, in the foreground you got the humans, reacting, and through forced perspective, back projection, you have the stop motion animation of the dinosaurs. But it wasn't Ray Harryhausen, it was Sid and Marty Krofft. And their style albeit stop motion animation,
Right.
very similar to Ray Harryhausen,
Right.
but the way they orchestrated their the way they made their models, I think it used like a foam rubber. They were a little bit more versatile, but they looked a little less realistic, a little bit more puppety, but a very, very stylized kind of thing. Grumpy was what they called the T-Rex that guarded the place where they would go to see Enoch. So they'd literally have to find ways to get past the T-Rex to get to Enoch. It was a dangerous thing every time.
This would be a cool concept for a video game, actually, this world.
Actually, yeah, and you mentioned it, you're right. Grumpy was actually a little bit scary. He's part of the intro, too, and there's this bit where he turns to the camera and roars, and he kind of gets close to the camera. A little scary. If he had been more realistic, probably would have messed myself, but yeah. But the other reason I wanted to share about those dinosaur effects was completely unrelated to this. We're watching YouTube videos, and of course, I did that video a couple weeks back of what's it, the Osmonds, right? Donnie and Marie.
Yes.
And they did a little shtick where they were talking about Farrah Fawcett. Well, in my feed, the pilot episode for their show came up, and I just put it on just for the heck of it. And Lee Majors and Farrah Fawcett were guests on the show, and Farrah Fawcett does this little shtick where she's doing a commercial as if she lived back in the primitive times with dinosaurs and stuff. It's a used dinosaur lot, with crazy sales, right? And all the dinosaur effects are, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, this is Sid and Marty Krofft. And sure enough, at the end of the show, they said, we want to thank, Lee Majors and Farrah Fawcett and, everyone else, da-da-da-da. And, of course, Sid and Marty Krofft for their effects work, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, man, they were really in everything back then.
Yeah. It's cool, though. I mean, it had a charm. I mean, I guess kids love these shows. They used to talk about them on the playground back in the day, or...
This one we did. And, we'd do the pretending to be Chaka, Holly Chukmana, because, he'd show up around dinner time when Holly would be cooking, because he was hungry.
That's funny, yeah. It'd be interesting if they did, like, either a redo or maybe a follow-up to this show.
Well, they did a remake with Will Ferrell. Forget about that. Another little bit of trivia. The little girl there that played Holly and the little boy that played Chaka had actually appeared together in a commercial prior to this. What was the product? I can't remember. It was some sort of a snack cracker or something like that. I'm drawing a blank, but they played a brother and sister in that commercial. So when they both showed up to audition for this, they were like, hey! So they ended up working together again. For years, actually, they worked together.
Cool. All right.
Ruth Buzzy! Yes! Oh, what was this one?
This was something to do with the sauce. The Lost Saucer.
The Lost Saucer,
was this
right.
more silly? It wasn't like Land of the Lost, which was...
It was very silly. It was Ruth Buzzy and Jim Nabors, and they were both comedians of their day, very slapstickish. I actually don't even remember the premise of it, but I do remember watching this, yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, like I said, it looks kind of... oh, yeah.
Oh...
This is
Electra Woman and Dinah Girl, yeah.
Girl. Now this seems like a superhero sort of thing, right?
It absolutely was. It was very much a parody of a parody in a way, because they were very directly parodying the Adam West Batman, which in a way was a little bit of a parody of Batman in the comics at the time.
Well, the funny thing was, though, I mean, from what I had heard, if you read the Batman comics of the 60s, they were rather ridiculous.
They kind of were.
Yeah,
they kind of were.
We really attack the Adam West show for they were probably just adapting what they were seeing on the pages.
They were taking what they read in the comics and
Yeah.
doing it to an extreme.
Probably, yes.
And so this was trying to parody something that was already pretty extreme. The technology, you could see it on her, it's actually her left wrist because she's reversed from us. There was this electronic box, and it was like the Doctor's, sonic screwdriver. It could do just about anything. It could shoot rays. It could open locks, and all this kind of stuff. And, I mean, if you know Batman and Robin, you basically know Electro Woman and Dinah Girl, yeah.
They would fight, like, criminals and whatnot and get into scrapes, that sort of thing.
Yeah, this was another one that they tried to, like, reboot. In fact, they tried to reboot it with Marky Post as Electro Woman and that girl from the Ghostbusters 2016, the one that wore the glasses, the Egon insert.
Oh, right. The heck is Marky Post?
Marky Post
was right.
from Night Court.
From Night Court.
We did an in memoriam for her, actually.
It would have been another goof, though, if they'd done it that way, right? Probably.
It was actually going to do it serious. It was like
really,
yes. It was like Electra Woman was like down on her luck, alcoholic. And Dinah Girl is trying to get her back into, fighting crime and whatnot, and trying to get her to dry out. It'd be funny if this was like
the spoof show they made on her back when she was in her heyday, right?
Interesting, yeah. But right here, Deirdre Hall was the one
that was the other woman, I take it.
Yeah. Deirdre Hall was the one that played Electra Woman. She was kind of famous back in the 70s, too. So, yeah. And Great outfits, too. Nothing revealing, but those leotards did look good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's some great hair she's got there, too.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt. But let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, for the love of Pete, I don't know what this one was.
I want to say Speed Buggy, but that was the cartoon.
Hold on. This would be, Donnie and Marie, look at this. Okay, Kofft, Super Show, Brady. Where the heck is it? Sigmund the Sea Monsters. They don't like this one. They didn't listen. Lost Far Out Nuts, no. He did a lot of these things.
Wonderbug. That's Wonderbug.
I didn't know.
76 to 78.
I couldn't get a good picture of this one. That was the best picture I could find.
What was great about Wonderbug was there was a Hanna-Barbera cartoon called Speed Buggy.
Yeah, that was shown in images when I was looking this up.
And it's not the same, not really directly related, but it was this idea of a sentient car. And this was a brilliant take with all practical effects, giving a personality to. Think of it a little bit like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, that kind of a thing.
Cool. Okay, and I think that's all I have for that. Sid and Marty, rest in peace, Marty Kofft. I don't have the official verb, but I'm sure everybody's talking about it this week. But he made a lot of children happy, so. What are worse things? I remember the movie in what was it, Temple of Doom, when Willie Scott says, "My grandfather was a stage magician. He made a lot of children very happy. He died a very poor man." And I'm thinking, when he made a lot of children very happy, maybe don't knock the guy so much.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
for those of you that might have been paying attention during the little segment we did on HR Puff and stuff, there was a very interesting little lawsuit that came out of. There's actually two lawsuits, but McDonald's created their McDonald Land, and and it was very clearly they were very clearly ripping off Sid and Marty Kofft with the style and the characters,
with Grimace and all that. Yeah,
they ended up with a big settlement there because of that. But interestingly, the theme to HR Puff and stuff, the music, the show was actually sued by George Harrison for I guess it was, I don't know what song it was because I'm not a big Beatles fan or whatever, but he had written a song that was so close to the theme music from HR Puff and stuff that they ended up having to do a payout there. So it was a give and take kind of a thing. They got sued and then they sued somebody else. probably all worked out in the end.
Everyone ends up fine. I want to say goodbye to Rosefire. You have a good night.
Oh, take care.
But you can catch us on the replay. What the
Absolutely.
heck was Bigfoot and Wild Boy?
Bigfoot and Wild Boy. That was another. Yeah.
What was with the 70s and Bigfoot?
Bigfoot was really big. Yes.
We should do that for good old days. Just Bigfoot. Maybe
just talking about Bigfoot in the
table
70s,
this for now,
particularly,
yes,
we
but
totally could.
This show in particular, what was this?
So, Bigfoot and Wild Boy was this idea of think of the primitive barbarian superhero characters, you know, like in modern settings. It was basically that. You had this wild boy that grew up in the wilderness, befriended by and taken care of by Bigfoot. You could draw correlations to Han and Chewie. You could draw correlations to Tarzan. All of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
And I always wondered if there was meant to be a connection between the Bigfoot from Bigfoot and Wild Boy and the Bigfoot from the $6 Million Man. Spoilers, no. There's no connection other than they
so
were
it's
just
the plot
looking
of the
to
series that Bigfoot had finally, revealed himself to modern society, and he was granted citizenship, and he was able to, get a job and whatnot, trying to live a normal life, and then Wild Boy enters into his thing and starts messing everything up, and he ends up adopting him or something. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what this is about. Never mind.
No. That's fine.
Like he would be like the straight man to Wild Boy's antics, right? Never mind. Anyway.
Well, as I recall, Wild Boy was the one who was able to talk, and it was kind of like I said, like Han Solo and Chewbacca kind of a thing. Okay. But
did they go around in an RV and travel the United States or something?
No, and no, because and we had covered that before. As a matter of fact, someone here, David Pensack was saying, did they do ISIS? No, ISIS was Filmation with the Shazam and ISIS Hour, right. Which was I don't remember if it was the same network or not, but that was directly a Warner Brothers DC related thing done by Filmation.
Gotcha. All right, Semi-Proctor. At the time, late 60s, Batman comics were beginning to harken. Oh, but probably by the time you were getting into the 70s, go back to the Golden Age. And then it's more of a 50s Batman that Adam West is harkening to. It's funny, they did an episode of Batman, the animated series, where two of the segments, one was based on The Dark Knight Returns, and the other was based on a 1950s Batman comic, and they were both ridiculous. You'd have to watch it, though, but...
Yeah,
Shazam had the RV. I know he did. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that because we had done good old days about that, so that's
Shazam,
why he was picking on that one.
Probably when Shazam was coming out. I don't know why we did Shazam at that point. We probably had Shazam in the news. CBS, yes, good old CBS. I'm telling you, network TV is not what it was.
No, but then
it's
again,
a shadow of its former self.
I got to say, cable is not what it once was either. Do you want to go to the breaking news?
Yeah, go to the breaking news. Let's do that.
Yeah, let me go ahead and share my screen.
Oh, you got a picture for me?
I've got a little bit of a video. I don't know how good the sound's going to be, but let me...
Where is it? Let me remove mine.
No, I haven't shared it yet. I'm going to share it right now. I'm doing quick. Present, share screen, entire screen, that. Make sure I got the audio on. There we go. Can't promise you there's a lot of audio, but let me give the background on this. Again, this is breaking news. We don't even have all the news just yet, but DirecTV. This is coming to me from I'm going to say an anonymous source right now until we get more information, and then I have a chance to talk to him and find out if he wants to be disclosed. But DirecTV is saying that Tegna, that's Tegna, has just turned off their contracts with DirecTV. My source says, I'm in Denver, and all I got on my basic cable is a video playing saying Tegna has axed the broadcast. This happened just as Sunday Night Football was about to start. It's Carter Spectrum 2, although Tegna is countrywide. I'll pass anything else I learn along to you. Let me play this. Tell me if you can hear this. I've got this as loud as I can. Okay, yeah, I can't even hear it. So let me read. Our focus is on providing you with This is going too fast for me. With News Live, sports and entertainment, you want the best possible value. Every few years, we must work out a new agreement. Each local broadcast station provides continued... okay, I can't keep up. But it looks like there's some sort of a rights issue that's going on with Tegna. Of course, Tegna being a subsidiary of King Broadcasting Company. They're kind of a media giant. If you go to their site, they talk about, fighting the fight against misinformation and blah, 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 and this and that. You're not alone. This is happening to millions across the country, like I was saying. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't have been aware of this because I get my news online these days from sources that I recommend directly, and I don't have to worry about these kinds of agreements. But
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm hearing myself weird. Anyway,
I'm sorry. Yeah, let's stop sharing because otherwise, you are going to come through. There we go.
No, it's all right. What I wanted to say though was that's a little weird. So basically, people are getting down to watch Friday night and Sunday night football, and then that thing pops on, right?
Exactly. This isn't dissimilar to what we were talking about a couple of weeks back with Disney. Very similar situation when one of the cable companies that was carrying Disney kind of killed their ESPN feed and said, we didn't come to agreement, sorry. And Disney's like, and Disney had to back up and capitulate to the cable company. Otherwise,
so who's in the right here or the wrong, or is it not?
I don't know because I don't know all the details just yet. But what I will say from the perspective of the viewer is, look, I pay for a service. I expect these things to be taken care of. Somebody is not dealing with these things in advance. It should never get to a point where you get to go time for a show and there's no feed because they didn't renew their contract or the contracts are still in negotiations or whatever. Get your crap together. You guys make way too damn much money not to have your ducks in a row.
Do you think this is them, like someone's trying to call a bluff here, and that's why it goes down to the hour?
It almost certainly is some sort of a negotiational tactic, but the fact is, one side or the other that's holding out has let this go way too long. You need to, you have a deadline. Your contract is going to be up at this date. If you haven't done the negotiations in the year leading up to the termination of that agreement, it's kind of your own fault, And so when we get to that point and they say, okay, we don't have an agreement, we just dissolve our contract, turn you off, well, that's what you end up with. So a lot of people not getting their sports ball tonight because of a failure to communicate between Tegna and DirecTV. And we wanted to let you know it's an ongoing circumstance. We just found out. If we can get more news, more information, and a good analysis of it before next week, we will certainly bring it to you.
All right. Well, I'm telling you, TV is not what it was.
No, it absolutely isn't. And I do feel that when we talk about things about, the fans are doing the best work and, the YouTube community and Comicsgate and whatever else you want to say, the independent creators, not only are they doing the best providing of art, but they're doing it directly to you. There is no middleman, right? I mean, yes, you can complain about YouTube or whatever the platform is, but the fact is your favorite YouTubers have the option to not only provide you the streams that they're doing on YouTube, but they probably also have it on Rumble, and they probably also have a locals channel, and there's other ways they can get it to you. They are never going to be beholden to any particular platform. Right. And that's a decentralization of power, and that's always a good thing for the viewer and for the creator. these old models are, they're going to go away, and they're kind of hastening it by the dumb decisions that they're making at this point.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just want to watch the football game.
I just want to watch some football. That's right. Yeah, no, I don't. I'm not a big football
I
fan.
don't either, but I look at it this way with the sports fans. That's your fandom. That's your thing. You're a fan of.
Yeah, yeah, I
Not your
understand the
fan. Yeah.
concept, right? You
Like
know,
I'm not,
don't
I'm not here to rain on your parade. That's my point.
exactly.
Yes.
Don't give me any crap about being
Star
a
Trek.
Star Trek fan or Star Wars fan or whatever, and I won't give you any grief about the sports balls.
And to be fair, for the most part, I mean, there might have been nudgings back in the '80s, but for the most part, we've left each other alone. Actually, I had a friend who was a big sports fan, but he also liked Doctor Who back in
It
the day.
has become
Isn't that weird?
far more mainstream to be. A lot of people attribute it to like a Big Bang Theory and stuff. I don't think that's true, but there does seem to be a correlational effect anyway, where a lot of previously, you know, the popular people, the good-looking people, the sporty people are starting to get into the cosplay and the geeky stuff.
Weird.
But the great thing about it is they probably always were, and it wasn't fashionable.
Yes.
But at some point, they just decided, you know what, this is what I'm into. You don't like it? Too bad. And people were all like, hey, that's actually pretty cool, you know?
At some point, it's not going to be fashionable again, just because all the geeky stuff is starting to suck now. But anyway,
Well, and you know what
and the kids won't be able to remember when it was good. They'll just know
Right.
when it was bad. But anyway,
And you know what I say about what's fashionable? I really don't care. I just know what I like. And if you don't like it, well, you can pound sand. Just saying.
well, speaking of things you may like or not like, let's move to our first story of the night: Disney's
Oh,
Wish box
yeah.
office.
Yeah.
Disney's Wish disappoints during Thanksgiving.
Yep.
That I think is an image from the movie. We're going to try images tonight, see how they play out with y'all in the chat. So here
Yep.
we go. Let's go ahead and do Disney needs to do more than wish on some stars to get out of its animation rut. Its latest animated feature, Wish, billed as a celebration of 100 years of storytelling, fumbled at the box office during the Thanksgiving holiday weekend. It tallied just $31.6 million over the 5-day period, far below box office analysts' expectations of between $45 million and $55 million. Lionsgate's The Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes took the top spot for the 5-day holiday, generating $42.2 million in ticket sales. Apple and Sony's Napoleon, an R-rated war epic from Ridley Scott, came in second with $32.75 million. Interesting that Hunger Games did as well as it did. I guess Rachel Ziegler has been granted a reprieve on her career for that.
Well, she also wasn't like the big star of the movie.
No,
You know,
but
she's a supporting cast.
play your
And by
cards.
all accounts,
Yeah,
she did a
good.
decent job in the movie. And
Yes, yes.
because of the SAG-AFTRA strike, she had to keep her mouth shut. So that probably helped too.
Yes, so you might be able to salvage your career. Just mind your P's and Q's,
Exactly.
especially when other actresses are sabotaging them, like the recent one from the Scream franchise. But anyway, Lionsgate's Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes took the top spot for the 5-day holiday, generating 42. Already said that. Okay, it's historically rare for Disney to lag at the Thanksgiving box office. The company has, for more than a decade, released top-grossing animated films during the Wednesday to Sunday frame, and even set records for the highest-grossing openings for films released on Thanksgiving. But it struggled since the pandemic to inspire moviegoers to head to cinemas for its newest features. A set-it-and-forget-it strategy based on past performance can no longer be employed by any studio, said Paul Durgarbian.
Whatever.
Senior media analyst at ComScore. There are some hard lessons being learned as this confounding movie marketplace continues to rewrite the rules, and audiences make their preferences known with either their presence or absence at the multiplex. The underperformance of Wish extends to an unfortunate pattern of the company, which operates two animation studios, Walt Disney Animation and Pixar. One of the problems I have with this too, Walt Disney Animation and Pixar used to be very distinct back in the day.
Yep.
You'd get your traditional animated movies from Walt Disney Animation. You'd get your, more, I won't say avant-garde, but like the computer animated stuff from Pixar.
Right.
Then Walt Disney went pure computer animation. because I think they theorized they were going to be losing Pixar, but then they were able to retain Pixar. But now it's just, I don't know. Much of Disney's trouble has come from executive decisions to pad its fledgling streaming service Disney Plus with content, stretching its creative teams thin, and sending theatrical movies during the pandemic straight to digital. I remember those days.
Mm-hmm.
They were not that interesting. Parents confused about when and where animated films were being released didn't show up to theaters for a number of titles from Disney in the wake of the pandemic, and many of those films weren't well received by those who did. And then there's the added pressure of shareholders who have become focused on the profitability of Disney Plus, tight marketing budgets, and audiences that have become more selective about when and what they go out to see at the cinemas. Can I pause here for a second?
Mm.
Disney Plus.
Okay.
What are these streaming services? These are like cable channels, what we would have had with cable channels.
Kind of, yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You'd have your big exclusive show on HBO, like The Sopranos or Game of Thrones, and this would be the water cooler talk, and this would keep people subscribed to those things.
Sure.
Disney, and I thought that Disney was going to have that with a show like The Mandalorian, where it was going to be one of these shows that they would make a season each year, and maybe they have one or two other shows like that.
Right.
And then you could just have, hey, we're streaming this movie exclusively on Disney Plus first, or whatever, but still use your theatrical model. But instead, they just kept dumping crap on Disney Plus, and I think
and the bigger problem is that the business model has not changed. I don't care that the specific way that you receive it is different, but your comparison to cable is great. You can compare the cable shows to syndicated television too. And just keep going back. You have to operate within budgets, right? How much are you making as opposed to how much does the cost of the show, okay? You want to make a widget and sell a widget. There's got to be a demand for the widget, and you've got to be able to charge more for the widget than it costs you to make it. It's simple supply and demand. It's the most basic of economics 101. When Star Trek was pitched to, the network, right? How were they going to do it? Well, they put all their budget into the pilot, right? And they marketed the crap out of it, and you got to see if it will do well with the consumer. It got great ratings. The advertisers were like, okay, well, a lot of eyes on this show. We're going to back it. Here's the budget. Well, good. The initial investment of all the special effects of the exteriors of the ship and the saucer separation, all the other stuff that they did for the pilot episode, guess what? They reused it over and over and over again to keep the budget as low as possible.
They did the old Battlestar Galactica series, too.
They did it, and they've always done it with these big production shows because they had to. It's how you keep the budget down. So what happens when they get to the end of the season, they're running out of money? You get a clip show, which is always the lowest rating, but it's like, hey, this happens when we run out of budget. Maybe give us a little bit more budget next year. That's how it works, right? Now, the other upside to a
hate clip shows. Go ahead.
Well, no, it absolutely should. The other upside to a show like Star Trek is you can sell toys. You can sell communicators and phasers and, the costumes and the action figures and all this stuff. Marketing, where the real money is made, right? Mm-hmm. So, but unfortunately, that's not the model Disney is operating under. They are operating under spend all kinds of money to put it on something that doesn't have commercial value. They're not making commercial dollars off of Disney Minus. They're not. They're counting on you to pay for it directly through your subscription. And the subscriptions aren't going up. They're going down. And yet the tab for these shows is going up, up, up. Well, you don't have to be a mathematician and an economist to figure out they're going broke doing that.
I mean, I guess, and I'm just wondering if dumping all this stuff for free on Disney Plus when people got their free subscription, this devalued Disney animation in people's minds. Like maybe they weren't thinking it was a special thing to go see a Disney movie anymore if it just plopped on Disney Plus. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, and the other thing is, and I didn't even realize this until just recently. I think it was Valiant Renegade who brought this up. It was an excellent point. I had argued, we got Disney Plus on, streaming, right? And on cable, you have the Disney Channel, right? It's like, why don't they combine the two? Well, I came to realize it was two very different models for Disney. The Disney Channel on cable was, all they got was whatever their licensing agreement was with the cable company. They were not allowed to advertise. The only advertisements you ever saw on the Disney Channel were for other shows on the Disney Channel. And there was a reason for that. There are very, very, very strict regulations on how you can do commercials during television, during children's television.
Right.
So there was not a lot of impetus to put a lot of stuff on Disney Plus. On the Disney Channel. But Disney Plus, they could put whatever they wanted on there in the hopes that that would pull in subscribers. And they're finding out it's not working out that way.
No. And it goes on to say that Disney, which ruled animation genre for decades, is also facing steep competition from Netflix, Universal, Sony, and Warner Brothers, among others, for moviegoers' attention. Just a week ago, before Wish hit theaters, Universal DreamWorks Animation Studio released Trolls Band Together, the third installment in the popular Trolls franchise. Trolls Band Together secured $25.6 million in ticket sales during the 5-day Thanksgiving weekend, just a few million shy of Wish. And keep in mind, this is the Thanksgiving weekend. They had already had a prior weekend for people to go see the movie.
There's another angle on this the article doesn't get into that makes this even a bigger deal, right? This is a Trolls sequel, right? Trolls is good, right? Yeah. Netter and I saw at least the first one. I don't know if we saw the second one.
It has a lot of music in it too, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of pop music. It's that kind of a thing. They take a lot of pop music, they re-record it, in terms of the story. It's great stuff. I think Justin Timberlake was one of the Trolls or something. So, like
yeah.
One of those boy band guys or whatever.
Anna Kendrick in it too, or was that somebody else?
I don't remember, but the important point is that this is not like big box office. They're not expecting big box office. They're expecting mediocre box office.
But they also didn't spend as much.
They spent almost nothing on it. It was intelligently done to make a decent profit.
And it looks good. It doesn't look bad.
Oh, sure. There's nothing wrong with it. It's good family entertainment. But it should be that you put this up against a Disney production. It's like, oh, forget it. Well, everyone's going to go see the Disney thing. And that's not what happened. It's the opposite. People went and took their kids to see Trolls. Why is that? And we're starting to hear a lot of people in the theaters saying, well, it started with Strange World, right? Where it was very clearly promoting the message that was part of their marketing, and parents stayed away from it. And now with this, they're actually calling the theater and saying, is this safe to bring our kids to? You should not be doing that with a Disney, because we've always trusted Disney. Disney, good for kids. Let's go see that. Now, the opposite is the reaction the parents are having. Is this one something I can take my kids to? And
they don't want the kids asking about what a feminine hygiene product.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what is it he's buying? I don't get the joke. No. Instead, they're going to go, you know what, let's just go see Trolls. And I think Trolls got a little bump here because people were looking for something that wasn't Disney, and there was nothing else.
I think probably all the diehard Trolls fans saw it the prior weekend, and then this weekend, maybe the people that were undecided.
Well, there was also, I don't know if there are diehard Troll fans. Maybe there are.
Maybe they are, yeah.
But the ones that went to see it as an option because they didn't want to go see Disney probably went home and told all the other parents and whatnot, hey, I took my kids to see it. It was pretty good. You should probably think about going to see that if you're looking for something this week.
Nice, safe family entertainment, which is what they're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure the kids went and saw it and enjoyed it. Maybe forgot the details after they left because it wasn't all that, but they had a good time for what it was, and, who knows, maybe they pick up the DVD.
Yeah, and they'll be on probably Peacock at some point. Welcome, Netter of Netters at work.
Yep. And that's how it's supposed to be. There's supposed to be that we've talked about this before, the economics of the downstream revenue, right? Where you make your money at the theater, you make a profit, right? Then you get into the DVD sales. Then you get into the licensing agreements with network television and cable, and then you put it onto your own proprietary streaming service as, in quotes, content, your backlog of whatever. And you make money all along the way. And meanwhile, you can put out the posters, you can put out the soundtrack, you can put out the little action figures and whatnot, and make more money there.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. If you lived in what's the desert on the other side of the
Nevada?
Yeah, you live in Nevada, right? And there's a tsunami coming that's going to hit California, right?
Yeah.
Are you concerned about that tsunami getting over the mountains? No. I don't care how big the tsunami is. It's not going to affect someone in Nevada. But if there was a river, coming down from the mountains, trickling through and eroding away a section of Nevada, you might be a little concerned about over time the damage that could do. And that's what we're talking about with the time value of money. I don't care how big your tsunami is, Disney. It's running into a mountain range you've built up, and nobody cares. Right?
Well, the article
but then Trolls comes along and makes a crap load of money over the years off of a mediocre film. I actually don't know if it's mediocre. It might be unfair of me to say.
No, I mean, here's the deal. I have not. I heard many good things about the first Trolls, and I'm sure the second one was fine. Let me go look up.
Oh, I don't remember a single detail about the original movie, but I love the music and I sing the songs all the time.
You laugh. You had a good time.
Yeah.
Actually, what's the box office this weekend? What's the big movies? Oh yikes! Okay, something bad about Box Office Mojo, right? That's where I want to go. Actually, you want to look that up while I get to the next one. Songbird and Snakes, Godzilla -1. Look at that, and Trolls.
Oh yeah, Godzilla -1. We don't have that on the docket, but I'll tell you something. That one is doing really, really well.
Okay, so it looks like I don't
But
know.
yeah, I swear I can't hear the song "Can't Stop the Feeling" by Justin Timberlake without thinking of Trolls.
Okay. Well,
Although I sing it a little differently because I'm an old fat guy. I got a jiggly upper body.
Welcome, Leia plus size.
Oh, she came in just at the right time, right?
Yes, but anyway, here we go. I'm just saying, welcome to the chat. We're talking about, as Clownfish TV used to call it, Dismal Disney. Maybe they still do.
It kind of is Dismal Disney. Should we go on to the next one?
They say Wish fortunately has December holiday family movie going corridor to do better. Now, the guy did make a point that Elemental did have legs over the summer to make money in the long run. Just didn't have that big wow at first, but.
Well, Box Office Mojo has it down as let's see, it actually got a little bit of a bump on the Friday, November 24th, but it's been dropping. Oh gosh, it came out on Wednesday the 22nd at 8 million. It dropped by 53% to almost 4 million on Thursday. Friday was the big day. It went back up to another 8 million. Whoop-de-doo. And then it precipitously dropped over and over and over again. Looks like there was a little bump on Tuesday. That's probably because that's when people get the discount tickets. But it's been dropping every other day
Tuesday.
since.
That's what they call it.
Yeah, exactly. And so right now it's sitting at 19 million. No, I'm sorry, it was a 19 million opening. Domestic, almost 42 million. It hasn't even made it to past 82 million. It's at like 81 million. That is really, really not good when you consider the budget on this thing. It's lost a ton of money, and it doesn't seem to have any legs. It doesn't.
No.
This Wednesday, it was down another 92%, and each day this weekend, it dropped 85%, 79%, 51%, 48%. It's bad.
Yeah. Speaking of things that are dropping or getting dropped, we have She-Hulk in the news.
This one was a hard one for me to find a semi-unbiased article, and I don't feel that this is necessarily the most unbiased, but it is the most unbiased I could find. There's still a little bit of bias here, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Let's get into
still shilling for this show.
So every article that I could see about this led with something to the effect of Disney capitulates to the MAGA crowd and cancels, and we'll get into that.
Let me just break in front of this. I know how the show ends, or at least have an idea. I've seen clips of things that end. Mm-hmm. The show breaks the fourth wall toward the end of the show, and she leaps out of the TV to go talk to the writers in the writers' room. This is no longer part of the Marvel continuity. This needs to be a one-off. It's shattering whatever illusion there is for the MCU when it does that. It's saying, this is all nonsense.
Well, now, in fairness, the She-Hulk comic is a fourth wall breaking story as well.
Really?
It's meant to be taken a little bit tongue in cheek. The problem with it is when you do that, the humor has to be on point.
Okay.
And yes, it does call into question the canonicity of the story you're telling when you're breaking the fourth wall. Rightly so. The problem with She-Hulk is it was just plain terrible. It was just, there is no argument that it was terrible. And look, I don't care what your argument is. I don't care if it's the MAGA crowd. I don't care if it's Comicsgate. I don't care who you want to, try to deride for not watching your POS show. People didn't watch it. Forget the reason why. You got to get down to reality. The reality is you spent this much, you lost this much, and now you're going to try and make an argument for a second season? The adults in the room say, no, you lost money, you are not going to lose more money. There is no market for this. And if the market was people you don't like because of their political views or whatever, then too bad. Either make a show to make money or don't make the damn show. And if you are going to be employed and keep making crap that doesn't make money, you need to lose your job. If you don't produce, you lose your job. That's the way capitalism works. I know you're all socialists and you think that everyone should just give you money for sitting around doing nothing, but that ain't the way the world works.
Yes, if you want that job, go work for the comics, not the television side of Marvel. I'm sorry,
Well, we're really worried about the industry right now because there's kind of been a deflation there, and we're all concerned about our jobs. Same person that said, if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. Problem solved. Yes, problem solved. You should be out of work, girl.
Anyways, I'll read a bit from the article. How's that sound?
Mm-hmm.
The days of easy budgets and fast-paced approvals for new seasons may be over for Marvel. She-Hulk
should have been a long time ago.
Forbes delved into the financial quagmire of the Marvel Disney Plus venture, Secret Invasion, revealing a budgetary overshoot. However, it was not the only Marvel Disney Plus show to attempt Infinity and Beyond.
Yeah.
The production ultimately came with a staggering price tag of $211.6 million. However, it appears that the fiscal escapade of She-Hulk Attorney at Law may have outpaced even that. Screen Rant has the total cost of She-Hulk all the way up to $225 million. This is a streaming Disney Plus series. That's what? How many episodes is it? like 6 or 7. I don't
I
know. I
don't
mean,
know. I don't know.
according to Variety, a single episode of She-Hulk also exceeded its budget, reported incurring a jaw-dropping cost of up to 25 million for Disney, a sum rivaling the most extravagant episodes of Game of Thrones. The aggregate budget for She-Hulk soared to approximately 225 million. Unfortunately, the expenditure didn't translate into a triumph. The show ultimately held horrific ratings and reception, both in terms of viewership and audience reaction. She-Hulk stands as yet another instance of Marvel Disney grappling with a grandiose project gone awry. Now, however, that may finally come with consequences. According to noted Disney leaker with a track record specifically in success, Thwip T, Kevin Feige seems to be thinking twice, thrice, and even more about just saying no to She-Hulk season 2. So this is not official yet. Is that what I'm getting from this?
I don't know that there's been an official word, but it. Let's face it. It really should not be getting a second season. And
It's
I think anyone that said it was getting one, it was way, way ahead of the curve.
I think they wanted to do a female Avengers movie. They were going to have Captain Marvel in it. They were going to have She-Hulk in it, and probably
And
some
if that
other-
was their
the
plan,
Wasp.
then between how badly She-Hulk did and how badly the Marvels did, we'll get into that a little bit more later. It's very clear that the MCU has been soundly refused by the fans. There's no doubt about it. And again, when you get to the budgets that you're talking about, what was the one thing they kept saying about this show? The CG looks terrible. And then you find out the ridiculous conditions they were putting these animators under, these deadlines that were just ridiculous, and paying them like crap and expecting them to work crazy overtime. And they're all just saying, screw it. No, we're not doing it. And you get what you get what.
What you pay for?
I was gonna say what you pay for, but no, it's not just about money. There's more to what is it? You can have it good, you can
reap
have
what
it
you
fast, you can have it good, you can have it fast, or you can have it cheap. Pick two. You don't get all three. And they were trying to throw money at it, but give them no time. And they still wanted it to be good. And they're like, no, you can't have it all. Yes, we need the budget, but we also need the time to get it done. Otherwise, it's going to be shit. And it clearly is. And no amount of money makes the time, more functional.
She-Hulk has been a particular thorn in the side of the Walt Disney Company, not only raking in terrible reviews, but also managing to become a meme-generating machine for those who might harbor resistance to Disney's new direction.
Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely true. I mean, the stupid twerking BS is just laughable, And her whole feminist rant about rage and dealing with the patriarchy every day and whatnot. Well, that's a great way to push away at least half of your audience. We could get into a whole tangent about, the whole reason that Marvel and Star Wars were bought by Disney was to cater to the boy market, because they already had the girl market, right? And then they decided, nope, we need to turn these boy shows into girl shows. And guess what? The girls weren't interested, and the boys lost interest because you pushed them away. Congratulations, you're now left holding a very expensive empty sack.
Oh, we forget that Daredevil was on this show too. The
Yeah.
Charlie Cox Daredevil, the Disney version of it.
And if you go into it because of the way it was cast, assuming this was the same Daredevil from the Netflix series, anyone who is a fan of Daredevil has now been pushed away too. So and now we hear that the Daredevil show is apparently not going to be happening, and it's like, no, I'm not surprised. You killed it in the cradle. Congratulations.
Well, there was a big problem with that. Apparently, they viewed it and it was that bad, and they were talking about reshoots. I know I'd heard about canonicity. Learned a new word from last call.
Yeah,
yes,
there you
we go. In Marvel Comics, there are two She-Hulks, one real, one fictional. In the final issue of the real She-Hulk, yells at Marvel for what they did with her fictional counterpart in the comics, and then she throws the writer John Byrne off the roof. So that's kind of
That's
funny.
right. That's right. And that so that maintains the canonicity, right? Because you're supposed to say, okay, this is fictional, but this is the canon of She-Hulk and whatnot. That's interesting.
You know what they could have done? They could have done like at a preamble at the end of the episode. You know, like a lot of cable shows, they'll show you like the behind the scenes stuff, right? You
Right.
know, like the making of and the writers talking about what they did. And that's where you could have the Shield come in and says, "You ruined my character," and throw the writer off the roof.
Right.
In like one of these behind the scenes things. That might have been kind of funny. But.
Look, I've been saying this from the beginning, you know, the best comic book movies, whether it's the 300, which we'll be watching on Netter's Network in the very near future, whether it's The Watchmen, whether it's even the early MCU films, right? The First Avenger and Iron Man and so forth. It's just take the story from the comic, translate it to the TV or to the medium, the cinema or the TV or whatever it is, right? Just make it live action. And you know, as much as I dislike him when he tries to do his own thing, Zack Snyder is a visual artist, right? He took the comics. When it's a single contained comic, he can take it, treat it like it's a storyboard, and put it up on the big screen. And you get good results. When you have multiple storylines and you know, all this stuff to distill down, he doesn't know how to do that. He just throws it into the Cuisinart and hits frappe, and he ends up with confetti, you know? But that's kind of what you're getting now from things like She-Hulk. They're taking the basic ideas of the comics that people loved and saying, we're following the comics. Yeah, kind of not. You know?
We're big fans. That's what they always say, right?
Yeah. You know? And it's... who are you making this for if not the fans? You've lost the fans. Congratulations. Now you're left holding an empty sack. Brilliant.
All right. So here we go. DC CEO Bob Iger says the Marvels flopped at the box office because of lack of supervision on the set. What do you think?
Yeah. Let's get into that one here. I'm sorry.
You know what might say that there was lack of supervision on the set? Like if halfway into your production, your director goes off to make another movie. I mean, did I read that right a few weeks back? That's what she did. She said it's not done yet, but I got to go make another movie, and she left.
So there is that, right? There is
this
also
was a prior director. I don't know how many directors has this thing had. I don't know.
And this is a problem that we've seen throughout. Okay, it was a problem with Lucasfilm, with Kennedy firing director after director after director, and then reshoots upon reshoots upon reshoots. Right. So that's one kind of lack of oversight. Same thing here. In the middle of it, can't oversee it, got to go do something else, lack of oversight. But the other problem that he's not addressing is when you do have focused leadership, it's working at cross purposes with making a successful project. They're far more concerned about the message than they are about entertainment, return on investment, and so forth.
Okay, so Disney CEO Bob Iger has addressed the Marvels flopping at the box office, pointing a finger at pandemic-related production restrictions. The Marvels were shot during COVID. Can I say that now? Iger said during
yeah, because pretty soon I think the next thing is going to be pneumonia is something that you're not going to be able to say anymore.
They'll have to make sure that becomes a big thing before a certain presidential election. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'll keep my mouth shut on that. Wait a minute. The Marvels were shot during COVID, Iger said during a panel at the New York Times recent Deal Book Summit. Reports CNBC there wasn't as much supervision on the set, so to speak, so we have executives that are really looking over what's been done day after day after day after day. Mm-hmm. That's like word salad, I think he just gave us. But he's blaming the pandemic. It's always the pandemic. It's how can we figure out a way to blame
So talk about lack of oversight, right? Bob is supposed to be the one overseeing the whole damn company. And his response is, it's not my fault. It's the pandemic. It's the strikes. It's every other thing. It's the toxic fans. It's Florida. It's DeSantis. It's everyone but you, Bob. Take responsibility. Okay, the reason you make the big bucks, someone in your position is supposed to be a heavy hitter, a problem solver, and accepts no excuses from anybody. And you look at all those things and you go, I got all this shit to deal with, but we're going to succeed anyway. And you find a way. You overcome, you adapt. Otherwise, you are worthless and you need to get out of there and get someone else in there.
So, directed by Nia DaCosta, the first black woman held an MCU film, the female-led superhero flick features Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, teaming up with Iman Vellani's Kamala Khan, aka Ms. Marvel, and Teyonah Parris, Monica Rambeau, to fight evildoers. Though reviews of the movie were fairly solid, fans did not rush to the latest Marvel release with the same fervor as they have in the past. I have something else to say on this. I think the MCU has done nothing to endear... I mean, Brie Larson didn't also, but they've done nothing to endear the character of Captain Marvel. I remember in the past, you would have, Iron Man... How can I put this? You would have the hero show up in other movies, but they didn't do that with Captain Marvel. She's been MIA since Endgame, basically.
And they did that because they knew she was so unpopular. See, that's the problem. The same meme ability that we were talking about with She-Hulk, that can make or break your property. And that destroyed Brie Larson and, by extension, Captain Marvel. The repeated memes on all the different social medias, all the different YouTube channels, I don't care what some 50-year-old white guy thinks of A Stitch in Time. It's not made for you. Okay. All right. Well, we now have completely offended all the fathers that would bring their kids to see any show you're in. Certainly all the white guys. So they're all out. All those same 50-year-old white guys who buy the expensive action figures, and dioramas and stuff, because I'm sorry, that's what we do. We just do, And, guess what? Now no one goes to see Ms. Marvel, and no one wants to see the TV show or the new movie or whatever. Why? Why is that? We don't understand. Well, guess what?
Here's the interesting thing. From what I've heard, people did like the Ms. Marvel show on Disney Plus, but another problem is that how many people were watching this show on Disney Plus? The ones that it's behind this paywall. So how much of a general audience knows about this character?
Exactly. Especially when the subscriber numbers are going down all the time. There are less and less people seeing it. And then when they go to the movie, I didn't see this. Well, there was like 3 different shows you needed to watch in order to know who the hell these characters were.
And Monica Rambeau in this, I think she was a child in the original Captain Marvel movie that took place in the 90s, and now she's an adult in this.
Right, she was introduced during WandaVision.
Anything? Okay, so she wasn't.
So if you didn't see WandaVision, you have no idea who she is.
Okay, so I don't know. Why did people not go see this? Actually, well, the men went to see it. Actually, the women were the ones bowing out. That's what they'd said, right? So I don't know. I mean, I figured it would have done at least Shang-Chi numbers, right? But it did. I don't think it did that, right?
Deleted scenes did say she was in Shang-Chi in a cutscene.
It was. I think that was like a post-credit scene where, like, she's saying, those rings have nothing to do with the Tesseract." I don't know. I just saw the scene, and she says, "If you need to contact me again, let Bruce know he has my number." And then she cuts out, and then he's like, "She always says this. I don't have her number." And I think kind of she's being kind of rude in that scene to another.
Yeah, that definitely does not make you like her anymore. Yeah, that's for sure.
It's okay.
Yeah, even Continuing Chronicles says, I didn't see it because Brie Larson is insufferable. Yeah. I mean, look, all of these things matter, and Hollywood has known this for generations. You want to put your best foot forward with your stars. You want them to be liked. You want them to be a draw. completely unrelated to the movie. But then the movies have to be good and have people coming out of the movie saying, man, that was great. I want to go see it again. I want to bring my friends to see it. And they are literally doing the opposite. They are putting out stars and allowing them to say whatever verbal diarrhea they think of, which pisses people off. I don't want to see anything that person is in. If you do see the movie, oh, great. I just paid, $20 to be lectured. I'm not going to be seeing any more of these movies. Right? And then you end up exactly where Matanui is. I didn't see it because I lost interest in the MCU. All of these things go to break that momentum that they had, and now everyone's going, I have no idea what's going on with the MCU. I'm not even paying attention anymore.
Next MCU movie, if it is an MCU movie, because it's really X-Men verse, but it's the Deadpool 3 movie coming out.
Yeah.
Which maybe it'll be them leaving the X-Men universe at Fox and going over to the MCU as part of the movie. I don't know. And then what? I don't think anything else this year. You have we had Loki season 2. Was that well received?
I have no idea. I honestly don't know. I haven't been
they're in a problem because of the whole Kang thing. They were pumping him up to be the next big bad guy.
Well, from what I understand, the way they ended season 2, they could use it as a capstone to the whole Kang story. So they don't have to continue with Kang. And I think that's the route they're going to end up going. They're going to change it up, maybe start making like Dr. Doom or somebody the new villain or whatever.
Well, we'll see. This year has been the first non-pandemic year since 2014 that Disney has not launched a billion-dollar movie, Variety reports, after disappointing openings for films including Wish, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
I would even say that not only have they not, had broken that threshold, they haven't made a profit with a single movie this year. To the best of my understanding, they've lost money on each one of their films. And you can blame the huge budgets. You could blame the lack of interest in their films. You could blame the quality of their films. It's probably a little bit of all of those. But regardless, they are losing more and more money every movie that they put out.
Let's see. Iger admitted that Disney has made too many sequels in recent years, but he was quick to clarify that it doesn't mean we're not going to continue to make them. Said the Disney chief, we're making...
Well, no kidding. It's very clear they're going to keep making the same mistakes over and over again, because that's what they've been doing for over a decade. They have made it very clear they cannot learn. They cannot be taught.
Okay, we will only greenlight a sequel if we believe the story that the creators want to tell is worth telling.
Right. If it's on message, they're going to tell it, even if it loses the money.
What was the story the Marvels was trying to tell? Did they know that? And was that pitched to them?
I have no idea because I didn't see it. And nobody that I know that saw it said it was any good, so I had no interest.
The next year, the studio is set to release Deadpool 3. I consider that a 20th Century Fox holdover, by the way, and Disney needs a hit. If anyone can give them a hit, it's Ryan Reynolds. We'll see. But I'm worried.
It's gotten to the point with these movies where they not only are completely formulaic, but I know that I could tune into a Critical Drinker video and it's going to be, I'm going to give you a drunken explanation of what happened in this movie. Why did that happen? Don't know.
Don't know. Inside Out 2 is coming out.
Why?
Didn't like that one. I didn't like Inside Out. They said it was. I remember back. This was before I turned to Disney. It's a return to Pixar is great. Oh, and I just, it didn't work for me. I don't know why. It just didn't.
Was that the one about the emotions?
The emotions in the head. Well, I guess it was like that show Herman's Head. Remember Herman's Head?
I think it was the closest. It was the last good one that I saw out of them, and it was good in that
people liked it. So
there was elements about it that I really really liked. The whole story with the what do you call it, imaginary friend?
Yeah,
that's heartbreaking. That is good storytelling, good drama, but I don't trust Disney with a sequel. I know where I think they're going to go with it. They're going to go the whole Strange Worlds Lightyear route with this, as the girl becomes a teenager and starts having an inner monologue about her feelings about things that we really don't need little girls.
Well, I do want to say something. When her all her emotions in her head, two are male and two are female, right? Of the
Right.
groups. With her mom, they're all female. With her dad, they're all male personalities in the emotion things and that.
Oh, I
So
never
you
noticed
think and I'm
that.
not saying that means anything. It may not mean anything. They probably just want to have Louis C.K. in there as anger, I'm sure. But I wonder, not Louis C.K., not him, the other actor, Louis Black.
Lewis
That's what I'm
Black,
thinking
yeah.
of. Okay. Inside Out though. Okay. Mufasa the Lion King, a photorealistic animated prequel to the Lion King, is coming out.
Again, this, even if there was any reason to believe that these were going to be any good, no one is. First off, nobody's interested anymore, and number two, you still have that element of it's Disney. I don't want to take my kids to see it.
Troy Pacelli, you're going to see the new Angel
I
Studios
am
movie, The Shift.
absolutely. I've been looking forward to The Shift ever since I saw the first preview
Yes,
of it when I
the
went
science
to
fiction,
see
right? Yeah.
what was that one?
Um,
Sound of Freedom.
Freedom. Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the trailers look good for that. I'll say that. Will someone please give Iger some Pepto for all the diarrhea he pours from his mouth?
Right.
Oh,
Exactly. Exactly. Would someone just get him out of there? You know.
I agree with Adrian Moore. I think her inner dialogue would be about her gender or that she's gay, etc. I think it's going to be about a gender identity thing. I think they're going to do
Yep.
that. I could be
Yep.
wrong though. You never know. Like
I
I
can
don't feel
almost
like
guarantee
girls
you
today.
that's the current plan,
Yeah,
and whether or not the movie even happens hinges on that.
yeah. All right, so let's move on from Bob Iger. I like that picture. Okay, Kevin Feige.
Bye.
I'm having him do a wave there like he's leaving. Okay. Kevin Feige leaving. Oh, what am I doing? I'm not even posting. I'm so focused on these pictures, I'm not posting the links.
It's
There we
okay.
go. Kevin Feige leaving Marvel Studios after behind the scenes troubles. Yeah, so here we go. Kevin Feige has been the creative force behind the Marvel Studios since their first Disney owned outings popularized the modern cinematic universe. This started before Disney owned them.
Yep.
Iron Man, that was not a Disney release. Now, according to a recent interview with Johanna Robinson on Matthew Bellini's The Town podcast, the esteemed producer's tenure with the studio may finally be coming to an end. Robinson, who co-authored the recent MCU tell-all book, MCU, The Reign of Marvel Studios, explained during her podcast appearance that Feige had been spread incredibly thin in recent years and may be looking for a change of pace as Marvel films continue to underperform at the box office. Gee, isn't it interesting? It's almost like maybe your television series and division and your film division should have been run by two separate entities, like they used to be when people liked the television division.
Yeah.
You were making
Don't
those
know.
Netflix series people liked, and even Agents of Shield, which I enjoyed. But all right, nearly 2 decades at Marvel. This should come as no surprise to most fans, as no great thing in life can last forever. Kevin Feige has been employed at Marvel Studios since 2007, meaning the acclaimed producer has been working in the same position for nearly 2 decades, through the good, the bad, and the box office disaster. After recent news that Feige's planned Star Wars installment had been officially scrapped due to Disney budget cuts and scaling back large franchises, insiders have speculated that Feige will soon be ready to pack up and move from the massive corporation in favor of helming his own films. Not as much hands-on work, as Johanna Robinson explained during her appearance on Town. Kevin Feige's dream was always to make movies and be involved in filmmaking in a hands-on capacity with Marvel. While his experience at Marvel has surely been the opportunity of a lifetime, the producer may be preparing to step away from the massive franchise oversight to focus on the day-to-day minutia of writing and directing. This is also a likely case for why Feige didn't step up to the role of Disney CEO back in 2021 when Bob Iger retired, as the position would likely cement Feige in a fully non-creative role. What? Wait a minute. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
When did this happen, and when was this offered? I remember nothing about this.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit of revisionist history. I think this was people behind the scenes speculating and throwing that name out there like a fan casting, but he was never seriously in consideration.
Okay. Of course, Iger would come to reclaim his position as CEO shortly thereafter, resulting in the studio making massive cuts to upcoming Marvel and Star Wars projects. In the time since then, Kevin Feige has navigated Marvel through some of the most tumultuous experiences in the studio's history, with outings such as Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, Star Wars, and the Marvels, each underperforming and drawing critical ire. Again, you have this She-Hulk. I guess it did that much worse than the other Marvel series on Disney Plus, because I'm not even really counting the Disney Plus shows. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I heard one of the big issues with that was that the effects weren't finished.
Well,
People
yeah,
could tell.
yeah,
Secret Wars, I heard, breaks a lot of MCU continuity.
yep.
Like, I think.
And I'm sorry, that's just bad storytelling. And I don't care how much you want to complain about fans pointing this out to you. That's part of your job, is to get these things right, or don't do it.
It makes me sad because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did their best and was very careful with having to work around the movies and try to make their show line up with the movies. Whereas now the new series don't care and are messing things up in the continuity for the movies, and they're
Yep.
given carte blanche to do so. Whereas I felt Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. never got the recognition it deserved from the cinematic side of things. Like, they couldn't have a Quake show up in one of the movies. I mean, I don't know. It's just, this in conjunction with Feige's Star Wars project being officially canned seems to point toward the visionary producer packing up his desk for good and moving on to a career in directing elsewhere. Where could these directing opportunities show up? Will Kevin Feige leave Marvel for Star Wars?
Yeah.
Of course, Kevin Feige's success helming the Marvel Cinematic Universe in previous years cannot be overstated, with many fans demanding that Feige take the reins of Star Wars from Lucasfilm head Kathleen Kennedy.
Nobody who wants Kathleen Kennedy out of there wants Feige to take over.
According to Robinson, this move would be unlikely at this point, as she imagines Feige would be more likely to stick within the cinematic universe he spent the last 2 decades of his life creating, rather than taking up a position straightening out the chaos of the expanded Star Wars pantheon. For now, there has been no confirmation that Kevin Feige plans to leave Marvel behind. Of course, it seems like it's only a matter of time before this producer decides to pack up and explore other avenues with his creative direction, or simply pack a suitcase and enjoy some time away from the chaos of a massive studio machine. So, what have we learned, Charlie Brown? I mean, what have we learned, Troy Pacelli, from this article? What is going on here? Is Feige going to leave, or is this just speculation?
First off, take everything you just read and believe none of it. Look at it objectively. What we have here belays two possibilities. One, Marvel is doing so badly that they're going to get rid of Kevin Feige, and they are laying the groundwork to say, he's thinking about maybe retiring from the Marvel. He's done all he can do. Now he's going to move on and give him a graceful exit. Mm-hmm. Or two, the other possibility, he's looking at the ship burning around him going, yeah, I'm getting out of here, and bail like a rat. One of those two things is the case.
Feige's one of the reasons MCU is dying. He fired all the talent that made the MCU work.
She absolutely right. That is absolutely the truth. And it comes down to the buck stops here, right? If you're the guy in charge and everything's going to shit, guess what? It's your fault. Even if you didn't have any direct influence on the things that are happening, the fact that you didn't prevent these things from happening, your fault. You were in charge. It's all on you. Yeah. Too bad they didn't have their own Pablo Hidalgo. Oh, wait.
I'm wondering, I doubt Stan Lee was that involved on the creative side of things, but I always sort of saw him when he was alive. Like, I don't know. Did he have any kind of influence?
Probably not at all.
I mean, he one thing you could argue.
He just collected a paycheck.
He knew Marvel Comics because he was there.
Sure, he did.
For the get-go, but then I don't know. All right, time to move on to Nelson Peltz.
Yeah, this is the This is the potential saving grace for Disney, if there be one.
All right. So, activist investor Nelson Peltz
And
launches
and
Disney
we should once again point out, when they say activist investor, they don't mean activist as in political activist. They mean someone who invests in a company and actively is trying to make sure that it is profitable.
Okay. Well, you should be doing that as an investor, right?
Well, you have investments, but you don't have direct say in what's going on at those companies. You just invest your money with the expectation
Expectation that the people running the company know what they're doing.
right. But if you suddenly realize the people that are in charge are not acting in the best interest of the investors, as an investor, you might say, well, now I'm going to start going to those investor meetings, and maybe I start working together with other investors who are like-minded with myself, and we start pushing them to change what they're doing. That's what Nelson Peltz is doing.
All right. So I'll go ahead and read. Activist investor Nelson Peltz and his firm are seeking more than 2 seats on Disney's board, according to a person familiar with the matter, setting the stage for a proxy fight.
Yep.
Tryon Fund Management, which Peltz co-founded, said Thursday morning that it intends to take our case for change directly to shareholders. Disney, for its part, suggested the proxy fight stemmed from a personal grudge held by one of Peltz's allies, former Marvel boss Ike Perlmutter. Oh, that name. I thought Feige was in charge of Marvel all this time. Tryon said Disney, I think Perlmutter was in charge of the television division, right? Or at least for a while. I could be wrong.
He was at one point, yeah.
Yes. Tryon said Disney earlier in the day offered to set up a meeting with the entertainment giant's board, but rejected Tryon's bid to join the board, including the addition of Peltz. Tryon did not note in a statement how many seats it plans to seek. Tryon declined to comment beyond its statement. The news came the morning after Disney added Morgan Stanley CEO James Gorman and former Sky TV boss Jeremy DeRoque to its board, a move widely seen as a bid to fend off a potential challenge from Peltz. Former Illumina CEO Francis D'Souza will not seek re-election to the board. While James Gorman and Sir Jeremy DeRoque represent an improvement from the status quo, the addition of these directors will not, in our view, restore investor confidence or address the root causes behind the significant value destruction and missteps that this board has overseen.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a hard statement there, I think. Disney shares are up about 6% this year, far underperforming the S&P 500. The stock was flat Thursday. Later in the day, the company said it would reinstate its dividend at 30 cents a share for shareholders of a record as of December 11th. Payable January 10th, Iger had said earlier this year that Disney would bring back the dividend, which it suspended in the early 2020 during the first days of the pandemic.
Now, this is a very interesting thing, because anyone who's paying any attention to the stock value of Disney, anyone who's paying any attention to the numbers at Disney, know that there is no logical ability to be paying out dividends. It is not, this is not how business works. It is very clear that they are dipping into whatever line of credit they have, whatever cash they might have, to start paying out to try to convince Nelson Peltz, because last year when Nelson Peltz was moving for board seat, they talked him out of it and said, well, we're going to be changing things and we will definitely have a dividends released by end of the year. So in order to keep up their end of the bargain, they're doing this. But they're not doing this because the whole idea behind the agreement is you start paying dividends because you start making money. And as a result, you start paying out dividends. And that's not what's happening. They're just paying out dividends by going more in debt. So it's even worse.
It sounds like this is a show me the money, and then Iger is basically just trying to give them money to shut them up. Is that basically
Kinda. But Nelson Peltz is going, no. That's letter of the law. But I mean, that's like, I don't feel so good. Okay, well, snort this cocaine. Oh, I feel so much better. Well, that doesn't mean you're healed.
I'm sure that's happened.
In fact, now you're worse.
I wonder if that's happened behind the scenes at Disney at some point. Disney fired back Thursday saying Perlmutter has an axe to grind against Iger. Perlmutter has long complained that Disney spent too much. Mr. Peltz, in partnership with Isaac Perlmutter, former Disney executive, intends to take the case to the shareholders. Mr. Perlmutter owns 78% of the shares that Mr. Peltz claims beneficial ownership of, more than 25 million of the 33 million shares, Disney said in a statement. This dynamic is relevant to assessing Mr. Peltz and any other nominees he may put forth as directors, as Mr. Perlmutter was terminated from his employment earlier this year, and his voice.
That's the key, right? You fired him, and he leaves with a whole bunch of stock. What do you think's going to happen? This is another one of those examples of let's play what happens next.
Peltz had earlier pushed for a seat on Disney's board after took approximately 100 million stake in Disney. After Iger unveiled a broad restructuring of the company in February, acting like causes Peltz backed off the I remember when that happened.
Mm-hmm.
But Peltz reignited his push because he ended up getting let go. I think, yeah. Quarterly earnings report earlier this month. The activist investor has been waiting to see what happened with the report to decide whether to make a move. CNBC Bruce reported. He was basically trying to wait and see how badly things got. I think over there, right?
He took what was effectively a preliminary agreement. It's like, okay, if you change these things, then I don't need to take over, basically. And now he's coming back and going, not only did you not change those things, but I spent the past year buying up more stock.
Iger on Tuesday said he was focused on building again and intends to focus efforts on theme parks, ESPN's upcoming streaming service, and improving.
Freeze right there. In other news, we have indications that he is funneling money from the current parks to build up Shanghai.
Well,
that's where he's investing. Meanwhile, the parks here in the United States are falling apart and people are suing because they're getting hurt.
We'll have to look into that for another stream. That might be interesting. I want to see what's been going on in the parks. We've been quiet about those for a while.
The attendance is down. They keep raising the prices, so less people are going. Here in the States, people are finding alternates like Universal.
Pay the dividends in Goofy Bucks. I'm sorry. You there?
Yeah, I saw that.
No, there was a scene in it was this Liam Neeson movie, right, where one of the bad guys, I guess it's like this like this kid that's part of the Irish mob or whatever, right? And like, I think he owes money to like these I want to say Middle Eastern gangsters, and he instead of giving them money, he hands them a big bag of Monopoly money, right? And they're like, see, there you go, you can buy Park Place, and he's laughing at him, and they're not too happy about this. And then he says, "Okay, well, here, take this instead." And then he shoots and kills them. Do you understand? That's what I have that image in my head with these guys wanting the dividends and seeing the Goofy money and them getting all angry and then they get shot. I'm sorry, I don't know. Never mind. You'd have to see the movie. It's Run All Night with Liam Neeson. He's good in anything, right?
Well, pretty much, yeah.
Except for, he had some dogs last year, but let's move on. Here we go. Big story of the night. And should I start with the video clip, or should I read the article first?
Read the article and then bring in the clip at the appropriate time.
All right. Elon Musk declares war on Disney. Yeah, so here we go. This is from Newsweek.
Yep.
Elon Musk has set his sights on Disney, and specifically its CEO Bob Iger, after the company pulled advertising from X, formerly Twitter. Musk brought the social media platform in October 2022 and has since rebranded it, but a number of major companies pulled advertising this month after he publicly endorsed an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. Other brands to stop advertising on X include included Warner Brothers, Apple, and Comcast, and Tesla investors also distanced themselves. The Tesla and SpaceX CEO was asked about Disney and other companies stopping advertising on X during the New York Times Dealbook Summit on Wednesday. Iger also spoke at the summit earlier that day. Um, what this advertising boycott is going to do, it's going to kill the company, Musk said, per the Hollywood Reporter, and the whole world will know that these advertisers killed the company. He also spoke about Iger directly saying, "Don't advertise. If someone is going to try and blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money."
Yeah, go ahead. Play the clip.
Okay, well, let's play the clip. All right.
Go yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob, if you're in the audience.
That "Hey Bob" is very important because you'll notice from the pictures that Boomer's been showing, that background, Bob Iger was just on that stage just before Elon Musk came on. So yeah, Bob Iger is very likely still in the audience.
Yeah. He's
speaking directly to Bob Iger. And he's basically saying, and look, there's a lot of subtext here, right? Bob Iger pushing the message, doesn't like Elon. We're going to boycott. We're going to pull our advertising dollars. Oh, really? Are you going to do that? Do you think that's really a good idea? Or might marketing on, one of the biggest social media platforms maybe have helped Wish? You think?
Yeah.
Maybe you want as much marketing as you want. Okay, fine, Bob. Bob, you want to pull your marketing dollars from Twitter? Then get rid of all of your accounts on Twitter. The official Disney account, the official Disney Plus account, get rid of the Parks account, get rid of all of them. Then we can talk. Your paid accounts to Twitter.
Can he get rid of those accounts, the paid accounts? Can he get rid of them himself?
Who, you mean Elon?
Yes, or someone over
He could if he wanted to. But he's not going to. Why would he? He'll keep taking their money as long as they're doing it and pointing out what hypocrites they are.
Yeah, because they'll make this statement, but then they'll still have the accounts. That's what he's making the point, I think.
Exactly.
What I am trying to illustrate that sometimes I say the wrong thing. Okay, yeah.
And it's very clear. This article right here has mischaracterized what he said, and as soon as he said it, he tried to not walk it back, but give it context. Look, we're living in an era where you can't give any opinion on anything that sounds like it disagrees with one side or the other without being labeled, a completist or whatever. And the fact is, the vast majority of people in the United States, the vast majority of the populace, do not want the United States involved in other people's wars, regardless of which side they are on, what their ideologies are, and who they think is right or wrong. It is their war to fight, not ours. I don't care if that's in the Ukraine. I don't care if that's in the Middle East. I don't care. Bring our troops home, and when we have to fight, then we'll fight. In fact, when we're invited to fight, maybe we'll consider fight. Nobody in the Middle East is asking us to be there.
This is true. Yeah, no one has actually requested us sending troops.
Another thing I will say about Elon is Elon has gone to Israel. He has met with the leadership in Israel. He's on good relations with the people of Israel. Does that sound like an anti-Semite to you?
No, I mean he was. I think he liked the tweet that, to be fair, is something I've heard said on like Fox News and places like that.
This would be like if someone called me a racist, right? Someone calls me a racist, and then we went and we asked, I don't know, say Leia Plus Size, Evelyn Hampton, Wolf 10 Media, hey, do you think Troy's a racist? No. well, he said this. And whatever it was, they listen to it and they laugh and they're like, oh, I know what he meant.
There's it's gotcha for people who we don't
Yeah.
like. What this
Yeah.
is. I mean, even
Just
Joseph
looking for a
Davis
reason to not like him. Exactly.
says, I should, in retrospect, not have arrived at that particular post and should have expanded in greater length about what I meant. Yes, about that original tweet. Which he didn't write himself. I think he just did a like on it. But
I continue Chronicle. I love this GFY because he does go on a little bit later after that clip you played. He repeats himself and he says GFY, and it goes quiet. It goes, and he says the words again. I just thought that was so good.
I forgot who runs that network. Was that CNN or MSNBC? They now have to pay a huge fine. I think the FCC now for that too, because they got delivered live.
Good. From what Dr. Marissa was telling me on Friday, it's a $20,000 fine per incident of naughty words by the FCC. That's why I told her when she was on, I said, no FCC on YouTube. You can say whatever you want. And she did. She got a little spicy. She dropped it. Dr. Omega said, oh, Dr. Marissa said shit. She says, if I end up saying this on the air on Monday, I'm blaming you. Like I'm a bad influence.
This is so ridiculous. My first semester in college, we had to write, or maybe it was the second semester, I had to write I think it was one of my composition classes. I had to write a paper on a government organization, so I did the FCC. So I was curious about the FCC, and then of course I realized, at least back in the day, they considered the airwaves public property. I don't know though, but then you have cable, and then things get muddy. Like you have to pay to get these cable channels, right?
Continuing Chronicles makes a great point. Fines just means it's illegal for poor people. That's exactly right. It's like paying for indulgences. It's like paying for indulgences.
All right. Well, speaking of people who I guess aren't poor, or at least weren't poor after they directed certain movies, shall we move on?
Well, wait a minute. I just want to say one more thing about Elon. Now, this is not in the article, and this is speculation on my part. Although it's not just speculation on my part. I'm not the only one who's brought this possibility up. But you piss off Elon Musk, and you're in the middle of having to deal with a possible hostile takeover. He probably owns some stock in Disney too. Just saying. Just
interesting to see how this plays
out. Just saying. Do you really want to go to war with, and he, it's the difference between having FU money and thinking you do. Okay? I think that Bob Iger thinks he has FU money. And the fact is that Elon actually does have FU money. There's nothing that they're... If Twitter were to die right now and the company went bust, it wouldn't affect Elon in the slightest. He's got plenty of other companies, plenty of other interests. He'll do just fine. Disney, on the other hand, people try to say that about Disney, but Disney is rearranging the deck chairs as the boat sinks.
Mm-hmm. It's got a nice jacket. I'm sorry.
That is a good-looking jacket, actually.
It's a good-looking jacket, I'll say that.
It really, really is. And look at it close. It's a little bit worn, which means it's not like a brand-new jacket that he just puts on to look good. No.
But,
yeah,
anyway,
I'm sorry. Yeah, let's get on to the next one.
We'll see how this plays out. But, yeah. Here we go.
I may... wait a minute. I'm also dropping one other link to that regarding that last one. Disney Sheepherder did a short little video, very funny. Check it out. Disney Sheepherder's good people. He's a once and future guest.
Very funny little link there. Yeah, I recommend you check it. It's good for a chuckle, especially for RoboCop fans out there. Yeah. If
you didn't get enough laughs out of GFY, check out Disney Sheepherder. Great friend of the community, once and future guest on Netters Networks Thursdays things. So go to that video, drop a like and drop a comment saying that the Geeky Geezers sent you.
Oh, appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. But no, definitely worth checking out.
Then let's talk about Oh, I got to split this one up, right? Who is it? Hollywood Reporter? Yeah, Hollywood Reporter
Are
sometimes.
they bad?
There we go. Split it up there.
All right, here we go. So, no, wait, that's here we go.
Now, I might have a different take on this than you might think I would, Boomer, but let's see as we get into the article.
Taika Waititi says he had no interest in directing Thor Ragnarok, but did because he was quote unquote poor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go, and this is from the HollywoodReporter.com. So, okay, I keep calling him Tycho. Is that how you pronounce his name? Is it Taika?
I think it's Taika. Taika.
Okay. Taika Waititi has revealed that he initially had no interest in directing 2017's Thor Ragnarok Marvel. On Monday's episode of the Smart List podcast with hosts Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and Sean Hayes, the filmmaker opened up about how he ended up helming 2 Thor movies, including 2022's Thor Love and Thunder, for the superhero franchise. You know what? I had no interest in doing one of those films, Waititi said. It wasn't on my plan for my career as an auteur, but I was poor and I just had a second child, and I thought, you know what? This would be a great opportunity to feed these children. He added, and Thor, let's face it, it was probably like the least popular franchise. I never read Thor comics when I was a kid. That was the comic I'd pick up and be like, ugh. And then I did some research on it, and I read one Thor comic, or 18 pages, or however long they are. I was still baffled by this character. Later during this conversation, Waititi said he feels like he was asked to direct the Thor films because there was no place left for them to go with that. I thought, well, if they called me in, this is really the bottom of the barrel, adding that fans initially hated that I signed on for the first one. The next goal wins. Director's comments come after he told Business Insider earlier this month that he has no plans to return to the Thor franchise anytime soon. I'm going to concentrate on these other films that I've signed on for, Waititi said, noting that he's going to be busy on several projects, working on other projects, and that he imagined another Thor would be a lot sooner than that. Though he said he still loves Marvel and working for them, he wishes them nothing but the best if they move forward with another Thor installment without him. I would never feel like they are cheating on me, Waititi said. We're in an open relationship, and it's like if they want to see other people, I'm happy for that. I'd still get back into bed with them one day.
That's kind of really belaboring the analogy.
Okay, this isn't news. Well, this was recent news, and I mean, we knew what he meant, Matanui. We knew that this is how he felt about the character. He's just now saying it for everyone to hear.
Yeah, and what I do have to say is I do have. Well, actually, I think I'd rather you give your opinion first before I get into mine.
Have a good night, Matanui. What a turd! Yikes. Okay, we know what your opinion is. Continue, Chronicles.
No, they're not wrong, but
he has no interest. No shit you can tell from those movies. Okay. Here's what I want to say. I noticed one Thor movie that got attacked a lot, or at least people pick on it now, is Thor Dark World, which I think is an underrated Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. I thought it was good. I thought
compared to what's come since,
I thought it was a simple comic book story, like something you'd read in the comics. That's what I thought. I also think, I think Thor ended up becoming the butt of a lot of jokes, especially with Endgame, and I think part of the problem was people don't realize Thor is many people's favorite Avenger. Like, some people, they love Iron Man or Captain America. Other people love Thor. He's their favorite. And I think you do have to treat the character with some respect. And to be fair, even in Ragnarok, I know maybe some people here didn't like that movie, but I felt it never went too far. But maybe others might disagree. I felt he still had some dignity at the end of it, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I think in Love and Thunder and Endgame later on, it's just complete. I mean, I saw him in a hot dog costume in Love and Thunder, at least in I think Critical Drinker showed, or someone showed him in the hot dog costume. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
But I don't know. But again, though, it does bother me when a creator says, I have no idea what. He had no creative interest in this, and I want to bring back to Nicholas Meyer, and I don't know why I always return to him, but when he eventually started out on Star Trek, he didn't know anything about Star Trek, but he did go back and watch the episodes. He familiarized himself with the source material. and figured out his own way, see what he could bring to the table. But it was never out of disrespect for this
Right.
franchise or for this series. And he did recognize too that these were important characters in American culture, or just culturally speaking. He compared it to Peter Pan, like the consider the Star Trek crew like the Peter Pan characters. That's how important they are in the public consciousness. But
Right.
go ahead, though. Maybe you have your own opinion.
Well, so just the element of, he didn't have any interest in this. I took it because I was poor, blah, 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 blah. Look, this is why any director, any actor, anybody in any job takes the job, right? To make money, okay? I don't care if it's because you're poor and you need to feed your family, or because you're rich and you want to be more rich. I don't care. That's perfectly acceptable reason to take a job. We only expect that you do a good job. Your being poor and taking a job that you weren't interested in is not an excuse to put out crap. And that's what you did. And you also went into it engaging the fans in social media with comments like, I'll destroy your fandom in a second, or whatever it was.
Mythos in a minute, maybe.
I'll destroy your mythos in a minute. And it's like,
I'm thinking, Thor is an actual important
that's like taking a job at McDonald's and saying, I will crap in your cheeseburger in a moment. That's like, okay, you probably should not be doing this job. And what you put out wasn't horrible, but you missed the mark because you didn't bother to examine what it was and understand it, like you said, the example with Nicholas Meyer.
Yeah, exactly. We have some comments here I want to get to. Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
Dark World used to be the worst MCU movie. Then 2019 happened, and suddenly that title updates to every new MCU movie. I don't know. Like I said, I was not that harsh on Dark World when it was out. Plus, you still had the love story going on with him and Jane in that movie. The movie shows he did not respect the character or fans of Thor. Yeah, I mean, I think especially with that last one. I didn't see it, though. I didn't see Love and Thunder, though. Thor was the better jokes than Thor 1. They kept hitting him with cars. He gets tamed by Natalie Portman right away, etc.
I will say one other thing too.
I will say this though. I think when he is around Jane, he says he will act like a gentleman when called to. I think that was the whole point of that. Like you think, he's this barbarian. Nah, not really. He's, when he's asked to behave, when he's. I mean, I don't know. I felt underneath all that bravado was a gentleman. I don't know. What did you think?
I didn't see it, so I don't know. But I will say this.
1? You never saw Thor 1?
Oh yeah, I saw the first one. Sure.
That's what he's talking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I will say this too about I'd say the past 6 years of maybe 5 years of Marvel films in general, not just his. They're drawing from the more recent comics that even if they are 100% accurate and can say, we're following the source material. Yeah, you're following source material that people didn't buy and hated. Your MCU is based on an MCU that was the all-new, all-different Marvel that nobody liked. This is the stuff that, if you don't like my comics, don't buy or you don't like my politics, don't buy my books. And people didn't. And then she comes back 2 years later and says, people aren't buying comics and we're really worried. Well, you shouldn't be surprised. You should have known this 2 years ago when you shot your mouth off, you dumb bitch.
Watiti does his best with original stories. Okay, I've heard good things about What We Do in the Shadows. I've not seen it, but I think it's a take on vampires. Remember when Taika asked Natalie Portman if she wanted to be in his Star Wars film, and she responds, "I've already been in Star Wars films." Come on, man.
Yeah,
she was in the 3 prequels. Yeah. How do you not know this?
You say something like that, and it's like, you really are not the right person for this job.
That's when I thought maybe they said, okay, you're not directing a Star Wars movie. Come on. Dude.
I mean, jeez. That's,
She was one of the main stars of those prequels.
That would be like if you were to take over, a franchise at McDonald's and then say to them, "Hey, you guys thought about salads?" What? Really?
You have salads here? Yes, yeah, we've had them since the 90s.
And we kind of backed off a little bit from them, because they're not doing well.
He's not a gentleman, though. He's a prick who gets sent to Earth by Odin to learn how not to be a prick. Well, I was saying around Jane, he seemed to be a gentleman. I mean, but yeah, you're right. Well, no, actually, that was my favorite part. That was back when the MCU was young, and I was actually kind of excited about these movies. In that trailer, when you see Anthony Hopkins, and he's calling him out, and he says, "And you're an old man and a fool." And I was like, I bet all of us, I bet a lot of people are waiting to say that to Anthony Hopkins in their life. Like, it was just, that was back when the MCU was fun, remember? It was just,
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, during the rewatch of Lion in Winter last night on Big Al's channel, I kind of thought a little bit of that scene from Thor.
I actually like Anthony Hopkins a lot. My point is that, I don't know what point I was trying to make. By the way, I'd love to tell all the people who made the Batman movies how royally you screwed up by not casting him as the ventriloquist in a Batman movie.
Yeah.
Considering I think the ventriloquist, I could be wrong, I don't know when that character was introduced, but the character in the movie Magic that Anthony Hopkins plays, it reminds me of the ventriloquist from Batman, from the Batman comics.
Wow. Yeah.
It's in fact, Anthony Hopkins had to use ventriloquism. He had to learn ventriloquism to play the role. And it was interesting. But.
Wow.
Oh, I like the old Thor from the Ferrigno movie. I remember that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they even were able to work in Donald Blake, and as more than just a throwaway line.
I still love that 1970s. Someone did a mock-up of what an Avengers movie would have been in the 1970s.
Yeah,
it's all the stuff. Paul Linda's Loki.
That one actually is perfect. That would have been actually really, really good.
And then they were showing different characters, and they showed Hawkeye, but it was Hawkeye from MASH.
Yeah, that one is really funny. Yeah.
All right, but I think we're on to our final story of the night. End with some good news, possibly.
Yeah, I'd like to think so, but maybe I'm just, carrying a flag that, I have no business continuing with,
What do you mean?
I hope, but I may be hoping against logic and reason.
The thing is, if 20th Century Fox was still its own studio, this wouldn't be a question right now.
Right.
I think they would have gone ahead because the movie did do well enough in China. They want to keep James Cameron happy. But, all right. Alita Battle Angel 2 update from the producer. Actually, now that maybe the Marvels tanked, maybe now they can move on to a different female-led movie.
We'll get into that in a second. Go ahead.
Exclusive John Landau offers a very confident update on Alita Battle Angel 2, confirming talks are still ongoing for the sci-fi sequel. As audiences continue to campaign for the sequel, producer John Landau offers a confident update on Alita Battle Angel 2. Produced by Landau and James Cameron, who also co-wrote it, the 2019 movie acted as a live-action adaptation of the manga of the same name, centering on the eponymous cyborg as she is reactivated by scientists and given a new chance at life without any memory of her past, setting out to discover who she really is. Led by Rosa Salazar and Christoph Waltz, Alita Battle Angel scored mixed to positive reviews from critics and performed modestly at the box office, with fans of the movie campaigning in the years since for a sequel.
Little context there, please. Yeah.
No, the mixed reviews were the shills.
Exactly.
Let's not
exactly.
Pretend.
This did not happen in a vacuum.
No, this was because of Captain Marvel. They were worried this
was Disney pushing their female hero and downplaying Fox's, and they specifically made it a political thing. If you like Alita, you're MAGA. And if you are on the right side of history, you will be going to see Captain Marvel, when it didn't have to be a zero-sum game.
No,
it should have been go see both. Both will be good. Like the little girl in the commercial. Why not both?
It should have been. It could have been the media thing. Oh, look at all these strong, empowered women movies coming out or whatever. They could have done that. Instead, they went to attack Alita, and this was because they were afraid it would cut into the Captain Marvel box.
And so not only did they downplay the marketing of it, but they undermined the marketing. So let's be very clear about that.
The media did something evil, but also kind of clever. They were predicting box office failure for Alita, and they kept chiming in on that.
Yeah.
And let's say you're a moviegoer, casual moviegoer, and you're not sure about this unknown property, and you're thinking, well, they say it's going to be a box office failure. Do I really want to invest my time in a movie, especially something that's going to be part of a series that's not going to get a sequel? And I think that is what they did, and I think people did not go to see it. Oddly enough, though, it did well in other parts of the world. It did very well in China. It broke an IMAX.
Yeah, and it actually it did better than it had any business doing with all it had against it here in the States, because it had a loyal fan following that is still pushing for it.
So, I mean, you had James Cameron behind it. You had Robert Rodriguez directing it. It was based on a famous manga series. Great cast. I think Rosa Salazar can give Andy Serkis a run for his money as far as motion acting goes.
Yeah.
So excellent effects. I pick on CG sometimes in movies. This is an example of excellent CG being used.
Right tool for the right job. Exactly.
And excellent movie. But okay, so during an exclusive interview with Screen Rant, John Landa opened up about the potential Alita Battle Angel 2. The producer confirmed that the sci-fi sequel was still in talks with him, Cameron, and director Robert Rodriguez, and expressing that he remains proud of the original movie regardless of its mixed reception. See what Landau shared below. Yes, I just answered that I knew before you even got there. I'm very proud of that film, and we were doing it concurrently with Avatar. I was down with Robert on the set doing all that, and Jim was involved too and saw it. It came on HBO one night, and Jim watched it and called me after he watched it. He said, John, Alita was on. I just decided to watch it. It's a good movie. Laughs, and it is. So I want to be able to definitely do more in that world. I'd like to see them do more. How the long break after Alita will affect its sequel. Landau, Cameron, and Rodriguez have all remained optimistic about the chances of Alita Battle Angel 2 since it was released, with Disney's acquisition of 20th Century Fox giving them extra confidence in making the sequel. Cameron was even seemingly teased in mid-2023, around the time of Avatar: The Way of Water's release, that he was working to develop multiple follow-ups to the 2019 movie. Though nothing has been greenlit by the House of Mouse just yet, the ongoing campaign for it to be made have likely similarly boosted its chances and their hopes to produce it. Given the original movie took nearly 20 years to be made, Cameron's dedication to bringing Alita to life makes it all the more likely that the sequel will be produced at some point, though the timeline remains unclear. Generally, a long wait for a sequel can prove problematic for a property, with the likes of Independence Day, Resurgence, and Escape from LA showing some of the more detrimental strains of a longer gap. On the other hand, there have been some instances of success with long-awaited sequels, namely Blade Runner 2049 and Mad Max Fury Road. Or I would argue Avatar 2 was a sequel that took a while to get off the ground, too. Right?
Yeah, true.
And that was a big hit, whether or not you like that series. It did make money. And that might have been the only chance Cameron has of getting this other project off the ground. Cameron himself has shown on 2 separate occasions that a long wait for sequel could prove beneficial, with both Terminator 2 Judgment Day and Avatar 2 proving to be a massive success. Though the latter may not have been reached the critical heights of its predecessor, The Way of Water did show the ongoing passion for a project like Alita Battle Angel 2 should see the sci-fi sequel enjoy a bigger success than its predecessor by learning from some of the mixed reviews for the original and deliver what fans of the first movie want. Despite initially being planned for 2014 release, Avatar: The Way of Water did finally hit theaters until December 2022, over 13 years after its predecessor. So it can happen, maybe. They're interested in making. The people who made it are interested in doing a sequel, I'll say that.
Right. And in fairness, Rosa Salazar herself has pointed out that if it takes a long time to get to it, kind of doesn't matter to her because she's going to be CG anyway, and she'll be
CG.
You know, you won't see any aging on her.
Christoph Waltz isn't getting any younger, though. I suppose they could always recast him, but he was so great in that role, I don't really want to see him get recast. But I guess the important one is Alita. So
well, but the nice thing about his character is he just needs to be old. Period. That's fine. You know, no matter how old he gets, he'll be fine for the role. You know.
Alita was such a great movie for our times too, because it's this horrible, broken society where there are no police because they got rid of the police. So there's it was almost like it could have been a good mirror for how we're living today.
Well, see, and that's another reason why I have not a lot of hope, because Disney doesn't want to do that message. I see this happening if and when Nelson Peltz takes over.
Yeah.
You know?
I watched the 90s Alita a few months ago. It was a bit extreme for me. A lot of anime from the 90s was more extreme than what you get today as far as violence.
Speaking of... highly recommend a video that is going to be coming out very soon from Retroblasting. A deep dive on Evangelion.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to this. I had no interest in Evangelion. I am not the biggest anime type of guy. I don't know much about it. So I was like, oh, yeah, well, he's doing this Evangelion thing. I'll check it out because I watch all of Retroblasting's videos. But as I've been seeing the comments that he's been making, working on it, and the behind the scenes and whatnot on his Patreon, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a wild ride.
It's funny. I've always meant to watch Evangelion. I even own the DVD because I got it on a sale one time many years ago. But
oh, you actually have it?
I actually own it, but I just never got around to watching it because, unfortunately, the fan base for Evangelion is very... I want to say, what's the word I'm looking for?
Toxic?
Kind of, yeah. That might be a good word. I don't like using, but...
I know, but I think it applies here. That's kind of what I've gotten
Firefly fans were like that, too. I like Firefly the show, but I heard the fan base could sometimes get rather extreme.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I'd heard. I don't know. I never encountered this people online. Believe it or not, I don't hang out in fandoms online, oddly enough. This is the closest I have to our little community here. I was sort of just a lurker in ages past. But I do remember... apparently the Evangelion, because part of the problem is, I think one of the things that got people in the anime community annoyed with Evangelion fans is that they would often attack other anime and say it's not Evangelion. You know, you shouldn't be watching it. I think that is to a lot of people.
Yeah, as I've been seeing like I said, the behind the scenes and the clips and the previews and the stuff of what Michael's working on, I'm kind of getting the distinct impression that the creator of Evangelion had some serious mental health issues.
That happens sometimes.
It is very clear in his stories, and I'm talking in like a Tom King kind of way. And his fan base is what you would expect for the material. Let's just put it that way. And I encourage you, look forward to this. I don't know if it's going to be a series of videos or just a single video, but check it out from Michael. But yeah, there's all different kinds. But yeah, I found, because I read like the first what is it? The printed version is manga, right?
Yes.
I read the first Alita Battle Angel manga. Mm-hmm. I saw snippets of the cartoon anime of Alita.
They only did 2 OVAs.
And I guess I did that basically because I wanted to kind of have a sense of the source material. And then when I saw the movie, I'm like, man, this is not only a great representation of what I read and saw, but on its own, it's just a really, really good movie.
I think it handles a little better. Who was her love interest? Hugo, was that his name in it? He was more obnoxious in that original OVA. I did not like him in that OVA. I thought that she should not be in love with this kid. He's a little selfish prick. In the movie, they fleshed him out a little better, I thought. Now, I don't know how he is in the manga. Maybe he's better in the manga.
There's a couple things that you have to keep in mind with stuff like this. You got to take cultural things in mind. If you do something in a medium in one culture and then try to translate it exactly into another culture, it oftentimes doesn't have the resonance you expect it to. What we might read as, and I'm trying to remember who it was that I was talking to about this recently, about smiling in Russia. You know, if you walk down the street smiling, that people will look at you very strange and be very concerned, because there's only two kinds of people. And he asked, he's like, why do people, kind of react to me badly when I smile at them? Oh, there's only two kinds of people that'll smile at strangers. People working for the government that are following them, and crazy people. And they're hoping that you're crazy.
Yes, no, that makes sense. I've noticed Russians said when they come over here, they say that Americans smile a lot. That's something that was a culture
And
shock.
so, can you imagine then a story, a Russian story being done exactly the way it is in English, and people you're supposed to like being just stone faced? Americans would react to that as, they're just uncaring jerks. No, it's in that culture that would not be perceived that way. And I'm sure there's a lot of that kind of stuff that comes through in anime being translated into American. Sometimes they kind of adjust a little bit for it.
Oh my goodness. The original Sailor Moon dub versus what was actually in the Japanese version. Some things were completely opposite sometimes. But that'll be for another stream. But City Hunter, gem from the mid-'80s. I've been meaning to watch City Hunter. I watched another series by, I think, the same creator as City Hunter, called Cat's Eye, which is also a gem from the 80s. I recommend Cat's Eye to you. I think it was on Amazon Prime for a while, but it's about a trio of lady thieves that are also sisters.
Wow.
And they're trying to, I guess their father was an art curator and collected a lot of art, and then I guess there was something bad, and their dad went missing. In order to find their dad, they're trying to steal back his artwork to see if there's a clue as to where his whereabouts are. It's a neat little series, and apparently it's in the same universe as City Hunter. City Hunter, I believe, is a private eye in Tokyo. I think that's what he does. He's like I've never seen it though, but I've heard good things. I just don't quite know where to start, because it's like. But Akira had a weird ending. Then Evangelion was like, hold my beer. Akira was like one of my first anime I ever watched. A friend showed it to me, and I think Christmas break of '89. The culture shock in that movie, I was angry. I didn't want to watch an anime again after that.
Yeah.
Now I see it as a classic, but that's not the movie.
It's funny because so many people that have tried to get me into anime over the
might
years
show you the wrong thing. Yeah.
Have been pointing me towards Akira as the gateway, and I have seen it, and I'm like, this is good storytelling, but this doesn't make me want to, dive into anime,
And I've heard the manga version. Was the manga version goes a lot more into detail, and there's more story there, so the manga might have made more sense in Akira than the other thing.
Yeah, see that I got the feeling that there was a lot missing there.
Well, in defense, the guy that wrote the manga directed the movie. So.
Well, I get that, but maybe then you should have made it into a series of films instead of trying to squeeze it all down into one.
People have argued that when they talk about remakes and things, that Akira should be done as a series, as a full-on series.
Yeah.
Because then it'll have the full-on. My favorite manga is Appleseed. I'm a big fan of the anime productions I've seen on Appleseed. I've been meaning to read the manga. My favorite anime is Bubblegum Crisis, the 80s version. Bubblegum Crisis is wonderful. It's like if you took the universe of Blade Runner. It's very influenced by Blade Runner, but added a superhero element to it.
Huh. Yeah.
I'll go into that on another stream. Like, you have an evil corporation that's creating these nasty androids that they send out to the populace, and the police can't handle them. So you have this group called the Night Sabers, which are these lovely young women that wear these. I want to say they're hard suits, kind of like the kind Iron Man wears. Like, they're like robotic suits, but they're on the inside. And they fight these robots, but it's very influenced by Blade Runner. The Japanese loved Blade Runner when that came out. That was a very influential movie. Another influential movie is Streets of Fire, and that also comes into play in Bubblegum Crisis, as the lead actress looks like Diane Lane from Streets of Fire. They're big fans. All right, so this brings us to the end. We hope we get the Alita sequel because I couldn't think of anything else to put here. But one thing we could talk about is what's coming up this week.
Well, I will be dropping not only this link now, but I will drop it again at the end, because after you leave here, we're going to ask you to jump on over to Deleted Scenes channel for The Other Side of Midnight, episode number 30. I don't know if you... Oh, I don't know. Netter just gave me a drink. I don't know if he's got a particular topic for tonight or a particular guest, but that is, I believe, the link for tonight's stream. Make sure that after you leave here, you click your browser over to there.
Other Side of Midnight, yes.
And then Tuesday, also on Deleted Scenes channel, but also yourself and myself and Netterself will be we'll be live from Sparkwood and 21, watching the last evening, the last episode of season 1 of Twin Peaks. It is a very dense episode, a lot going on there, and a lot to talk about. So hope you can come hang out with us for that on Tuesday. And then Thursday, again, Deleted Scenes, burning the candle at both ends here. Early in the day, that's 2 Central, I guess 3 Eastern, he is doing Action Theater Presents. He's doing the Uncut Watchmen.
How long is that movie?
12 hours. I don't know.
No.
I have no idea.
Is that the one that included the Black Freighter scenes in it?
I don't know. You'll have to tune in on Thursday to find out.
Okay. And then what about
But then later on Thursday over
on
on
Thursday, yes.
Netter's Network, as I had mentioned earlier, her guest will be the Disney Sheepherder.
No, Pacific 414.
Shit. Did I put up the wrong stream then? Damn it. Do you have up the right one?
But I can put it up.
Yeah. Well, you're not going to have it up by the time we... never mind. That is for next week. Just go to Netter's Network, hit the notification bell.
Hit the subscribe notification bell, and you will be.
And yeah, I'm sorry.
When 414 and DVC.
Very, very difficult to promote people's streams when, we're going into the week and they're not ready yet. So that brings us to Friday, here's another dingbat who doesn't have the stream up, but you can always subscribe to my channel.
Just put the main channel page up there. People will get the idea. Subscribe. That's how you know.
Friday night's last call. I'm thinking about calling it Let It Go. It's going to be a extension of the topic that Deleted Scenes was talking about today. We're going to look at some of our favorite franchises that we've been complaining about for the past half a decade, and make the case for why we are so upset, and just remind ourselves that getting upset about it doesn't help. It's not going to change anything, and we may just need to let it go and enjoy what we've gotten up to this point already.
You and I will come at this from different angles. I tend to be more scorched earth on things when people when franchises make me mad. I'll go back to my childhood a bit with this stuff too.
Okay. Well, we can save it for Friday. I think it'll be.
People forget there was a time where there were no Star Wars movies, and I moved on.
Exactly.
We had Back to the Future. We had other things coming out. Trouble is nowadays we have to.
We got nothing else. Yeah.
Ghostbusters. We have Ghostbusters.
We do have Ghostbusters, and if you want, we could talk a little bit about Ghostbusters next week. There has been some news. We have gotten some tantalizing tidbits about the upcoming film. It could be really, really good.
I really wish, though, that they had not postponed it, and this could have been a holiday release. I think this would have been a nice Christmas present over the holidays,
But they're doing the same thing they did before, where they're taking advantage of the time to.
I mean, it may end up being to their benefit of waiting anyway. So
I just found out recently that because of the postponement during the Kofft, They added a scene in that little montage of all the ghosts. That ghost that was the bug-eyed ghost from Real Ghostbusters. That was added because they had the time to do it because of the pandemic.
Well, that was from the toy. That was the Bug-Eye Ghost was the toy. I remember having that toy because you would press the button, the eye would pop out.
Yes, and my brother had that one too. And I saw it in the movie, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's from Real Ghostbusters. And and it turns out it was just because of the delay that they were able to do that. So who knows if they're gonna, unlike others that have postponed things to reshoot things because they screwed it up the first time. It sounds like Ghostbusters has a tendency to take advantage of, the time they have to make things actually better. So we'll see.
They should do another Ghostbusters cartoon, and they could even be in about another group, maybe on the West Coast, and they say we want to start a franchise because there's stuff going on out here.
Mm-hmm.
You can introduce new characters. It could just be. I want another Real Ghostbusters cartoon. I guess I don't know. I guess they could do. I don't know. They say that it feels like an episode.
They are working on an animated
Movie.
Ghostbusters movie, so we haven't gotten a lot of information about that yet, but we'll see what we get. Netter did drop the Thursday things with Pacific 414 link, and I dropped her link for
Saturday. What's the movie?
No idea, but it'll be Netter's Network's Retro Cinema. It'll either be the 300 or it'll be something else. We'll find out when we get there.
Okay.
And there we go. And then
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
I remember that. I saw that in the theater when it came out.
Absolutely. And
They
then
did a sequel to it on Netflix, which I didn't bother watching.
oh, I didn't know about that.
Yes, there was an actual sequel. They got Michelle Yeoh back and everything. I think I don't know, Sunday Western Cinema with Jedi Bill. Okay.
With Jedi Bill. Absolutely. And then that brings us full circle with deleted scenes, unscripted. It's too early to know what his topic's going to be, but it's always a great lead into Geeky Geezers.
And next week we'll be talking about, I don't know.
Well, because the news hasn't happened yet, right?
I hope we'll look for some positive news. We always do, right?
Part of us is always like, we hope it's a slow news week. We'd rather just kind of vamp and, spend more time talking about our good old days and, the things we do like. Right. And, but
maybe I'll do maybe I'll front the good old days next time since, maybe I'll do something. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah. All right. Y'all have a good week.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye. And tune into us during the weekend. Check out Deleted Scenes.
Yeah.
Midnight Hour.
Other side of midnight right there. That's where you want to go.
Bye-bye.
Right now. Bye-bye.